Hey,
How are you?
oh, good. I'm working on it.
Doing the right thing. I'm good.
Good. Is it? I can't remember if I saw that it was snowing up there in Arkansas or not. Is it? No.
Not that I've seen it.
Good.
What's going on, brother?
What up, Michael Higgason?
Man, I can't even call it, bro.
Hey, after I'm gonna give you a shout, man.
All right.
Amanda, I wasn't talking to you. You're all up in our conversation. I wasn't talking to you. How y'all been doing?
Oh man, I've been doing good, man.
Man, tonight is exciting.
Yes.
To say
Very
the
much
least,
so.
like what an honor to sit there and really, really talk some dog with someone who knows so much dog. Amanda, I love how you put his intro. A lot of times he gets introduced as senior judge, as ABKC Nationals judge. There's so many layers to him, and there's so much he's done. Day one.
Oh yeah.
He's been there.
Oh yeah.
Pioneer.
Like it's
going to be fun.
We're about to learn.
This is going to go so many different ways, and I'm looking forward to this.
Oh yeah, we're gonna learn a whole lot more about this man than that. I'm stoked. I'm stoked.
Yes.
So just trying to add him.
Nikasa, hey.
Hey, how are you?
How are you?
How you guys doing?
Oh,
Good, man. How are you doing?
Good.
Right on.
Doing good. Excited.
Man, it's good to see you guys.
Man, it's good to see you, man. It's an honor. We appreciate you joining us.
My honor's all mine, brother. Honor's all mine.
Yeah. It's been a few months since I seen you at Nationals, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a couple months, bro. A couple months.
Yeah. What a rush that entire event was. That
that was one of those events that I went into, and it was just like I had like certain dogs on my radar, and it ended up being a dog that was like completely not even thought about.
That's what I was telling people. Yeah, it was an underdog.
Yeah,
I mean, you're sitting there thinking, like, everyone's in their mind, they're like, top 10, and this guy walks in there, and I mean, he's a hell of a dog, and he's a lot of dog.
He's a lot of dog.
He's
a lot of dogs, yeah.
Yeah, and it's he's one of those dogs that until you actually see him in person, you have no idea. You've no idea. Like, you think you know.
He's one of those dogs that you actually have to see in person. You've got to be able to like put your hands on him and actually feel how solid the dog is, and watch him move. Because a lot of people can just straight look at him and be like, oh, he's just totally completely wrong, right?
Yeah.
It's so easy to say that because you're just not used to seeing dogs of that style, that size, right? Often. I mean, I've seen those dogs the whole 20 plus years that I've been breeding these dogs, right? So, he's not something that was like out of the norm for me to see, but for a lot of people, he kind of is, right? Because you don't really see that many dogs that, carry that kind of mass out at dog shows, at these shows, any of them really, other than the stack offs, right? Where they think that that's the only place they could really go.
Right, absolutely.
I
But it's
agree that
crazy. I see a lot
when I
of dogs in the stack offs that are actually very nice dog, structurally, sound dogs. So hopefully they start
through
getting
my phone.
into, the conformation show ring.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
definitely what we need, to happen to help the breed, to continue to move forward, but yeah, I'm just excited for the rest of this year, man. Nationals is done. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Now I'm gonna go after the rest
Yeah.
of the Nationals. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, so
Yeah.
we kind of jumped right into it, but so what we like to do to kind of give viewers kind of a good idea, because first of all, if they're not familiar with you, they're about to be. So what we like
Yeah.
to do is we like to have a guest. We'd like to have them introduce themselves, give us like your kennel name, any companies that you own that are dog affiliated, and then one of the best questions that we always start with is what got you into Bullies, and we're definitely gonna talk about your Shorty Bull history,
Yeah.
absolutely. But Bullies is what a lot of people know you for, and that's where you kind of started when it comes to ABKC.
Yeah.
So give us a nice intro and into getting to know you a little bit better and how'd you get.
Okay. I'm John Certeza, as everyone knows that knows me. My kennel name is West Coast Bullies, formerly Cutthroat Kennels. A lot of people don't know that, but we started in the early 2000s with Cutthroat Kennels, and just the name of Cutthroat just kind of sounds a little, you know, one of those, it's cutthroat. So we changed the name in like 2003 or something like that to West Coast Bullies. It's just, it sounded better. We're on the West Coast and we have bullies, right? So that was what we changed our kennel name to. But one of the real big reasons why I got interested in the breed was one of my buddies had a dog named King Saber, and he was an outcross dog. He was 75% Razor's Edge and 25% Gotti, and he was just this enormous dog, and he would be considered an XL, but then there wasn't American Bullies. It was Bully Pit Bull, right? Or buff pit bulls, whatever, that's what we called them then, bully pit bulls. But I mean, the dog had like a 26-inch head, and he was like 21 inches, 115 pounds, and of just like pure muscle, like a blue and white dog too. During these times, blue was a really nice, like blue was like lilac or chocolate or
The
tan point
rage,
lilac,
all the rage,
So, I mean, it was just a really, really cool looking dog. And we're, in our late teens, early 20s. So, we were like macho, right? And that's like, a pit bull that's 115 pounds with this head the size of a pumpkin. Of course, you got to have it, right? So that's what really interested me. I've told this story a few times, but what really locked me in with this community was here in California, we have these gangs, and it's Hispanic gangs or Mexican-based gangs, and there's Southern California gang, the Serranos, and then there's a Northern California gang, the Norteños, and then Central Cali has Bulldogs. Well, we were going to a bully barbecue, and it was in Central California. Well, we get there pretty early, and there's a lot of like Southerners there. So there's a lot of blue rags and guys in blue t-shirts and sweaters, and you know what I mean. And I'm a Pacific Islander, so most of my people, we were all either Hawaiian, Filipino, Chamorro, Pacific Islanders and Asian others, whatever. So it wasn't like a big deal for us because we don't have any problems with, those gangs.
Right.
But, I'm like, man, we're kind of, because we're from Northern California. I was like, we're kind of in the wrong hood, man. Like, there's a bunch of blue around here, man. you know. And then all of a sudden, like maybe an hour later, a bunch of cars came through. There were lowriders, and it was a bunch of Northerners. Like you could see them all wearing 49ers, you know, jerseys and hats and red rags. And I was like, oh, bro, we gotta go because
Yeah, the Northanios are here
yeah,
now. We got a lot going on
yeah,
here.
there's gonna be some stabbings. There's gonna be some, you know, it wasn't too much gunplay back then, but I was just like, it's gonna happen. We might get caught up in the crossfire
If
because
there's any two groups that hate each other, it's the Sureños and the Northanios,
more than
man.
exactly,
The fact that you know
and
that, Michael, weirds me out a smidge. I'm not gonna
when
lie.
they see each other, it's like a green light. They have
Yeah.
to fight. It's they could be at a wedding, they could be at a funeral, a quinceañera, they
It's
could be
on
at the
site.
state fair. It doesn't matter. It's on site. They're fighting, right? We're at a bully barbecue, and these guys are taking pictures of each other's dogs, like laughing, talking about, bro, can I take a picture with your dog? You know? Yeah,
All right.
it was the craziest thing. I've never ever seen that ever before in my life. So it's just the power of that, you know, the American bully, the bully pit bull at the time, and the community of it, you know, like we were putting aside, like, you know, our lifelong hatred for each other so we could take a picture of your dog,
Right.
right? They didn't see, you know, you're the Northerner, you're a Southerner, the red, the blue. They just saw a really badass looking dog, and that's all they cared about.
What a
So,
great
and
story,
you know, we
man.
didn't
What
have,
year was that?
this was '02,
Yeah.
2002.
Yeah.
And we didn't have Facebook lives. I mean, it was before MySpace and Friendster and all that.
Oh my
We
God.
had
Friendster.
MSN groups. We had MSN groups, and we had the telephone and mail. You know what I mean? So we had, you know, pictures of our dogs. We put it in an envelope, and we mail it, you know, across the country. And that's how you saw dogs, unless you flew in, you know, like some of the guys could. I mean, I couldn't. I was in my early 20s. I couldn't afford to do that. You know, I already had, you know, one kid. And but yeah, just being able to go to a barbecue and sit back and just talk dogs, and there be nothing else. You know what I mean? But you have all these different like people, you know, and everyone's getting along because of these dogs. That's really, from there I was
That's
hooked. I was like, dude,
inspiring, ain't it, man?
yeah, you know, I was hooked. And so from that day forward, I was like, this is what I want to do, because, you know, back then, you know, I was kind of into gang banging and all that. And so I feel like if it wasn't for the dogs, I could have went down a different path in my life, and I'd either be talking to you from a jail cell, or you would never even know I existed, right? So, you know, I
Dog
mean,
saved your life.
yeah. So dogs, I mean, I feel like dogs have, you know, did do that for me. Because just the love for them, right? And just seeing what it could do, you know, the power that these dogs, I mean, they can really change your life, and not in like a monetary way. You know what I
Fine.
mean? I have friends that are doctors, lawyers, judges, nurses. I have friends that, you know, they're on the other side of that spectrum, right? You know, I've made friends that are out in West Virginia, you know, and I have friends in Thailand. I have friends in Australia. You know, like people that I've met through these dogs. I've been to places in this world because of these dogs. So, you know, I mean, this is a crazy community, and
It is, man.
if you help to push it, you know, forward in a positive light, it'll definitely help your life out as well.
Well,
You
I mean,
know,
you and I have that in common. I got friends everywhere and enemies nowhere, man. And the dogs, you know, the dogs are a big part of a
of
lot of it, man. You know,
helping you get to that point. Yeah, because I mean, I didn't have very many friends. I had enemies everywhere, you know, before
yeah,
these
yeah,
dogs came out,
right.
you know.
Yeah.
I have like so many scars that I got proof of,
I can
but
relate 100%.
it's just crazy. So that was when I knew that these bully pit bulls were what I wanted to do.
They're special, man.
And then as time went by, a year went by, then we started having bigger barbecues and people coming from Washington and Colorado, Texas, and all these different places. And then then we started up this group called the Lounge, and man, we had one of the biggest barbecues in Northern California in '05, I want to say 2004, 2005, and there's still a couple of guys. There was Big Kev from Midwest Monsters. He was an original Lounge member, and he's still doing the Lounge, I think. There was guys in Michigan, Tim from Grand Raw. There was Cindy and Paul from Master P Kennels. And Cindy's a senior judge,
Oh, yeah.
and they were in Indiana. So like this thing back in 2005, like it helped me touch the whole country, and it's just, I could go pretty much, any state in this country and I would know somebody there, because of the
So
dogs.
where were you at in Northern California?
I was in between San Francisco and Sacramento, so I was in Fairfield.
So to answer Amanda a little bit, kind of fill in the blank for her. So I got some guys that I grew up with that are from Visalia.
Visalia is kind of like Central Cali.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I got a little bit of my Cali history from.
That's how you got a little bit of knowledge for Cali too,
Yeah,
right?
I do. I do. And it's and he was telling me the same thing back in the day where, the dogs really bridged a gap there that hadn't been bridged any other way.
Nothing could bridge it, not even family.
Yeah. And there's
like I said,
there's something about that special, man. There's nothing on earth like a relationship between a human and a dog.
Yeah.
And
No.
and people share that no matter where their walk of life is. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
man.
no matter where they come from,
Yeah.
if they see that you have that same passion, then right off the bat they got love for you, and they don't even know you. That's how I feel when I see people walking their dogs. You know what I mean? Like I don't even know that guy, but dude, he's walking his dog. Like I got love for that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
no doubt.
he's doing right by his dog.
So did you ever dream back then
No.
that anything would ever put together like it has for you now?
No, not even close, brother. Like I would have never thought that I'd be going to other countries, judging dog shows.
That's crazy.
I mean, honestly, when I was first, I got asked like 2 or 3 times to be a judge, and every time I turned them down because I took my dogs to dog shows, and my dogs never even got a ribbon. They didn't even get looked at. You know what I mean? Because they were more extreme style dogs.
Yeah, that's
at the time. And then a lot of the judges then were more of crossover judges from UKC or handlers or breeders of American Pit Bull Terriers or American Staffordshire Terriers. So they just weren't ready for my style of dog,
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, I don't want to be one of them, man. Like
we
like
really
we make
didn't
fun
have
of
our
those
own look
people,
back then.
So I didn't want to be a judge. I actually got tricked. I got tricked in. Yeah, I got tricked into it. So here's the story. It was.
Oh yeah,
it
that's the story.
It was. I was with my buddy. His name's Oscar Gomez. He's from Blue Pride. He had Easy Rider and Hustler, and but he and I went to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
We went to the East Coast. We went to Atlanta, and we were out there hanging out with a bunch of lead edge people, and there was going to be a dog show, and it was supposed to be hella big. It was called the Atlanta Bully Palooza, and it was a big show, right? So we go to the show. We get there, we have our fun party, whatever, and then the next day is the show. So we go to the show kind of later in the day, but then it was only one show.
Yeah.
At that time, there was only one show, and there wasn't like multi breeds, and there wasn't there was just the American Bully. There wasn't a
Right.
pocket. There wasn't a XL. There wasn't an
Yeah, in
extreme. It
its
was
essence, an
yeah,
American Bully.
right. It was
Same
just
thing.
American
Yeah.
Bully. And this was in '05 or late '04, something like that. And so I go to this show, and then my buddy was like, "Hey, they're ready for you." And I'm like, "They're ready for me." And I was like, "Okay." So I'm walking over, and this guy John, he was a judge back then too. His name was John Easterly, and he was like, "Hey, hurry up, bro." So I walk in the ring, not even looking at it being the ring, and I'm in the ring, and then they started announcing, yes, starting show one with such and such judge, this and that, and we're starting with the American Bully, female, 3 to 6 month, whatever. And I look at him, I'm like, what are we doing? He was like, do you know anything? Like, do you know, like, what do you know? And I was like, what do you mean? What do I don't know what you're even talking about? And it was like, you're supposed to be apprenticing today. And I was like,
Work.
apprenticing for what? He was like, to judge. I was like, no,
Oh,
not, like not me. And then
it's
all the
sabotage.
guys are like,
Trick, don't do it. Don't do it.
yeah, all the guys are behind me, like blocking off the exit and like get over there. So I end up apprenticing, right?
Oh God.
And I go through it, and he's like, do you know what I'm telling them when I want them to go around the ring? I was like, I'm telling them walk around the ring, and he's like, no, do you know what gate means? And I was like, I feel like this is a trick question, brother. And he just started laughing. He's like, so the gait is the movement that we want to see, right? So when you want a dog, handler to move a dog, I was like, what's a handler? And he was like, the person holding the dog, right? And I'm like, okay.
I learned all kinds of things today.
It was like, so when I asked them to gate the dog down and back, he was like, that means I want them to go down, a spell, and then come right back to me, and then stack. And I was like, well, what's stack? And he was
Oh,
like, just
no,
the
you really
standard.
smart.
Yeah, no, I was literally green, right? Like super green. But
Incredible Hulk green.
yeah. And but we
Good
got through
morning.
it, it still didn't sink in. Like I still wasn't like, yeah, I want to do this, right?
You
And
got
so then
bullied
we
into
get
that
through that.
friend, sir.
Yeah, we get through that whole thing, and that was done. And then I ended up doing one more, and then I ended up judging a show for Ron Ramos. There was a show here in Cali. It was close to Visalia, where you were talking about, and they had a show. He was supposed to judge it, and he called me and says, "Hey, I need you to judge." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know if I can, because I've done 2 apprenticeships. I did like all my tests and everything,
Just
but I've
they'll bully
done
you into it. It's fine. You can do it again if you
yeah,
bully into it, right?
yeah. So I say they were like, look, you're somebody that people know, they won't ask no questions, I'm like, all right, cool. So I went and did it, and then it was just like lights out from there. I did one more apprenticeship after that, just to kind of like, make it, a real thing, right?
Right.
And then it was just lights out from there. And
Now you're traveling the planet showing
yeah,
dogs, bro.
So,
yeah. I mean, it started out like, dude, I flew on planes because as I was growing up, we would fly back and forth to Hawaii, back home, back to Hawaii,
yeah.
then come back, then go back. You know what I mean? So I've flown, but I knew how to fly to Hawaii. I didn't know how to fly to Wisconsin or Indiana or Texas or any of that. You know what I mean? And then when international shows, like, I need a passport, so, Spain, the UK, Thailand, like all these, I went to Johannesburg. I mean, all these different places I've been. And, yeah, I just never thought it would happen that way. Like,
So, well, I have a great, well, to me, it's a great question, but I've got one I just dying to
Oh,
know, man.
go hit
So
it.
I've been all over the world, and there's so much culture, and everywhere you go, it's like, to me, it's amazing the accent difference between Louisiana, Texas,
oh,
Arkansas,
yeah.
Mississippi. Like we're all connecting states, and you can clearly tell that
Yeah,
the difference in
there's a
dialect.
difference in y'all's.
From the
Yeah,
bayou.
for
That's
The
sure.
Joel.
difference in dialect in these states that are all connected by a border right here. It's like,
Yeah,
but so when you get to other countries and you see all this other culture, it blows me away. That's something I've always been so intrigued and so fascinated by, is that culture. So how does the dog world compare? How do the bullies compare as far as, like, you go to Spain, you go to Thailand, like, what are the bulls talking about down there, man? Is it the same dog? I mean,
I
what's the
mean,
deal?
clearly now, in the very beginning, they were behind in the times. It's just like for Cali and the rest of the America. Like Cali gets it first,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
right.
it trickles over, right?
Yep,
So when America gets it first, like they're already ahead by like 10, 15 years before Europe or South America.
that's right.
Because a lot of times Mexico is, right behind us, because they could just walk over the border and grab dogs. You know what I mean? It's
Maybe not
harder for
more.
South America, right,
Yeah.
to get dogs in, but for Mexico, they could just go over, Texas, New Mexico, South
Yeah.
Southern California, and I mean Southern California was like the Mecca. That's where a lot of dogs were. You know.
Southern Cali, well, California is really the mecca for everything, really.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
where
exactly. So
the trends of gangs and medical marijuana and fashion and
exactly,
everything comes from
fashion,
California.
everything,
Right.
right? So it just the end thing happens. They say in California first, and then if it hits, then everywhere else in the world is going to do it. If
Yeah.
it doesn't hit, then no one's going to know about it.
It's
You
usually
Right.
know?
California, Chicago, and then on down from there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's when you go international now, I mean, they have nice dogs
Yeah.
internationally, but there's still not as many as here in the States, right?
Yeah.
Because
Right.
there's only so many breeders that are doing what they need to do and bringing in new blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of
Watching the
breeders,
breed standard and whatnot.
yeah, a lot of breeders in Spain, they were stagnant for like 10 years, because
Becky.
I, I had gone over there in like, I don't know, I want to say like 2010 or 11, and then I ended up going back out, and like I did Euro Nationals in like 21 or 22, something like that, and I judged there, and I was not impressed with the dogs, the quality at a Nationals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It'd be different if it was just a dog show. You know what I mean? But a Nationals, like, I expected a lot more, because it's already been 10 years or however long it was, that I've been out there. They actually had better dogs back in the day. But the problem is that if you keep continuously breeding to the same thing, it's going to get smaller.
You got breeding
You're going to
depression.
lose bone. You're going to lose mass. You're going to
Yeah.
lose, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. They just continued to breed to the
Yeah.
same dogs
Breeding
over and over.
depression is real,
Yeah,
man.
it's real. It's totally real. It's the
So
only.
yeah.
I mean, to create something that you want, you've got to do what you don't want to do. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just the way it works. Breeding these dogs, and I'm not a scientist, but I've been breeding these dogs a very long time, and I bred myself in a corner trying to breed just my blood.
Mm-hmm.
I just noticed my dogs, going from 100-pound, 110-pound, standard dogs that were, 18, 19, 20-inch dogs, down to 65, 70, 75-pound like pockets or classics. But that's because I continue to breed back to my own stuff. At some point, you have to go out and you got to grab something big and badass to bring to the table, to
Mm-hmm.
bring back that size, that mass, that bone. It's the only
Yeah.
way you're going to do it. You can't do it with the same blood over and over and over again.
No.
You can't
That
until you can't.
yeah,
And
until you
then
can't.
once you
But
can't,
it only
then you,
takes a
like
couple
you said,
generations for that to
Yeah.
go away. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
right,
So
right.
and when I was really active breeding, like, I think if I wanted to, find some straws, of some of my old stuff, I'd have like 8 generations of blood. I would have to take it to, you know, females like like the size of Jack, or an XL
Yeah.
female that's like teetering on XL and standard, but just a really massive female. And it doesn't really matter, like structurally wise. Yes, I want to make sure that, you know, she's got a great set of shoulders and you know, a good rear, but it doesn't have to be like the best. You know what I mean? Because I know my blood, you know, has that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you got to mix in, and then once I do that, then it's usually like a generation or two after that. Then you have your product. You know,
Mm-hmm.
some guys figured out the formula really quick. I mean, our first breeding, we had a dog named Corrupt. That was our very first bully breeding, and we knocked it out of the park. You know what I mean? And we continue to produce dogs very similar, just like him, but you can only do it one time, right? So there will never be another Corrupt, even though I had produced, you know, several dogs that were actually better than him. They weren't him.
Yeah.
They weren't the king of extreme. They weren't Corrupt, so they weren't looked at.
Yeah.
You know, and Corrupt can throw himself or better, and that was the thing. You know, that weirded me out, because he was outcrossed, that he was able to continuously throw himself like that, but he really only worked with Gotti line blood.
Mm-hmm.
So my, like, if you wanted that big, nasty, you know, massive bully, it would have to be, you know, to a Gotti line dog, because they were already big and nasty. They were just on the sloppier side. You know what I mean?
I think if there's any blood, man, that meshes well with many things, I think it's that Gotti lines, man. It always has been.
It just does, and I'm gonna tell you the reason why. Because a lot of us have already gotten to the point. I mean, we're so much into showing dogs and conformation and all that. A lot of the dogs are real classicy, so they're structurally sound. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And even a lot of like the standard dogs right now, they're also super structurally sound, but they're also not very massive.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
like going out to blood like Gotti line, not the very new Gotti line, but you know, like I think like the second generation of Gotti stuff.
Right.
That's when you had, you know, those dogs that just threw mass and bone, and like Romeo, and even Dax. You know, Dax was off of Romeo or some. I don't know what, I can't remember what he was off of, but I mean, he threw that thick neck, that big bone. He threw, you know, just that bulk, right? It doesn't, I mean, he also threw long backs, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
oh,
Hawking
yeah.
rears, you know? So you had to take that to a more classic dog. You can't take your classic female or your teetering classic standard female to a dog like Zero or Blue or Samson and get better than them. How does that make any sense? You know what I mean? You'll get a very nice dog, but it's harder to get a better dog with a mediocre. You know what I mean? It just
100%.
it doesn't work. It just doesn't work that way. That breeding doesn't work that way.
Gotta
And
have something where both of them have these extreme features and their phenotypes match up well.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, definitely.
Yep.
Well,
What? So what do
you
you?
need
What
the
do you?
things to offset as well, because, you know, if you're going too extreme in one area, you definitely need a counter, you know,
Exactly.
with your pairing. So,
Yeah, exactly.
It's a juggling
put
act,
on
ain't
your
it?
lab coat.
Yeah.
It definitely
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
What do
you
you think
definitely
about the
feel.
direction the American Bully's headed, man? Do you like the newer dogs? Do you like the look that our breed is becoming,
I feel
or
like a lot of the newer dogs are definitely like pointing in that direction, but now we got to refine it,
Mhm.
right? So you know, we got to go back to trying to tighten up, you know, the moving parts, the moving assemblies, you know,
Yeah,
the front end assembly,
I
the
agree,
rear
man.
end assembly. I think that we've somewhat bred out long backs, you know what I mean, and longer muzzles, so you don't see that too often anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But you do see dogs that are, you know, like you know, their placement and shoulder sets are a little off, so they'll be either A-framed and, you know what I mean, like where they're like this, you know.
Yeah.
And then you'll see dogs that are super hockey in the rear, and a lot of that has to do with mass, but you could still tighten up structure, you know what I mean, going to a
Yeah.
clean female, you know.
Oh.
I always
Um,
tell people when we talk about this that, you know, it's okay to chase your vision, but you need to keep one eye on the breed standard
yeah,
because
Yeah.
these trends come and go, and people chase like, oh, I want a dog that looks like Dax, or I want a dog that looks like Genesis, or I want, you know,
yeah,
and you can do that, but you need to keep one eye on the standard. Otherwise, like what you said, starts to happen. You start to get further and further, and you have to dial back in.
yeah,
You better
yeah.
anyway.
And you can easily go to the totally wrong dog, and it'll take you, you know, 5, 6, 7 generations to fix that. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
To clean that back out. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
super
that's
easy
why
to
it's so,
do
yeah.
that with hype dogs too. You
Mhm.
know, like
Yeah.
you know, I want to go to this. Everyone's going to this dog. The puppies are selling. I need to go to this dog.
Yeah.
And you do it, and then you get, you know, dogs that aren't as functional as they should be. You know what I mean? And to be able
Right.
to breed that
Mhm.
out, you're gonna have to do it 3, 4, 5 times. You
Certain
know?
parts, certain genes, certain things are quite sticky
Yeah,
when
Oh,
it comes to getting rid
yeah.
of them. I know, like we've talked about this on the show before, but like, rear mechanics for me. I mean, not that the front shoulder assembly is not important. It's all important, but to me, like I have to have a rear that I'm impressed with, or I would not even consider it
yeah,
because if you lose those rear mechanics, man,
Oh,
you'll be 10 years down the road before you get it
uphill.
back.
Uphill
yeah.
battle.
Both
Yeah.
rear and fronts are very, very important.
Hmm.
You know, like those are probably the two most important things that you need to make sure that are in your view when you're breeding.
For
I
sure.
like that.
Because if you stray away, then you're just going backwards, and you're gonna have to, you know,
And
another
it's harder to
2
get because the
years, you
gene
know.
pool is less and less
Yeah,
available.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
exactly. Our
easy to
gene
build
pool is
on to what you
already
have, but it's
so
hard to get
tight,
it
you
back if
know.
you lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's hard to get back.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you always gotta, like, when if you're figuring that you want to breed a dog that's you know, a conformation show dog, you want to make sure that first and foremost the mechanics of the dogs that you're breeding and their ancestry, you know,
Yes.
falls
Come on.
into this spectrum. You know what I mean? It could be this side of the spectrum or on this side of the spectrum, but as long as it's
In,
in that
yeah.
spectrum,
Yeah.
then you know what I mean. You're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
But you know, you can go, "Oh, I need this much more, you know, bone." But if you go to a dog that has like crazy bone, but the front's just totally jacked up, or the rear's just totally jacked up, you're gonna get that bone, but you're gonna get that
Yeah.
jacked up rear and front,
Right.
So now you're
and
fixing
those are
something
the parts
else.
that
Yeah.
take forever
Oh,
to fix. You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
And I mean, they message
I,
everything up. I mean, when you're talking about total dog, which is what's ultimately
yeah,
judged, that does, I mean, that boils down to movement, temperament, things like that. And when you have a dog that's that poorly built or
yeah,
sloppy or off, like lopsided
yeah,
into a fashion, I mean, you're getting the gates all jacked up. And at that point, like, what do you, like, where were you planning on going is the
yeah.
question.
What you planned on doing, like you saw it,
Yeah.
you thought, all right, I'm gonna get this bone, and my blood is gonna take care of everything. It does not work like that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you gotta give a little to get a little. You
Do,
know?
do you remember when I interviewed you at Nationals? I was there with QBN, and I got in the ring there right when Jax won, and got to talk to you for a minute. I was doing the live thing.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
yeah, and man, I'll tell you what, your answer it resonated with me big time because you know there was a lot of controversy about Jackson. A lot of people felt a lot of different ways about it, but
yeah,
what you said really resonated with me, man. You said that you know, like being right here, being hands on this dog and watching him because he did. A lot of people seen all these highlights, they didn't realize he did 3 shows in a row.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
He did the
Yeah.
showcase. He was in the extreme showcase, and then back to back,
Everyone, yes,
obviously,
no one
competing grand
saw
champion,
what
and
he had to
then immediately
do.
after that, best in show.
Yeah,
So it's like other dogs got
it just totally amazes me.
it
But that's
does.
why, like, a lot of times, like, I try not to to take it too hard because they didn't know any better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they didn't know any better. Like, if you really like sit back and you actually look at the dog for what he is, and you break down his front setup, his rear setup, the complete dog, his head. I
He's
mean,
got it.
yes, you know what I mean? Like, he's every part of that standard. It's just he's bigger than everyone's used to seeing. And that's what hurts everyone's eyes, because a lot of times when people come into the American Bully is they come in because of a friend, right? And that friend had a certain style of dog,
Right.
and so that was their idea of what that dog
Mhm.
was. And so a lot of times the ones that are like upset about it and just didn't understand it, a lot of their dogs or friends dogs are on the more classic side. And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
They're just not used to seeing that. Bro, I started in the American Bully with extreme dogs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it
He
wasn't
saw
like Jack. He, in that ring, to everyone, he was the odd one out. But to me, he was the only right one there in my eyes
Wow.
when I think
Okay.
American
I
Bully.
like okay.
that.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's because when we thought about making this breed, it needed to be its own breed, and it needed to be bigger
Yeah.
and more massive,
Mhm.
but still be able to function and still be a family dog. You know what I
Right.
mean? We didn't.
Companion.
And when I look at that dog in my head and I read the standard in my head, he's got great fronts, he's got a great chest, he's got a great rear. I mean, obviously it could be better, right? But for
Oh,
what
he's
it
got
is,
it.
he's got a great
Yeah.
rear. People try to say, oh, he's got straight stifles. What are you looking at? The wrong angled picture? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, one
did
bad
you not
picture could
see
really, yeah.
the video footage of him moving and
It's
his
great.
rears moving?
He
You know what I
did
mean?
great.
Like,
Yeah. I'll tell
so
you what I think of people, what happens to people there. So they get lost in the width of the spread in the front, and then they say, like, well, he doesn't have enough rear. No, he's just got quite a lot of chest.
yeah,
I mean, the rear can only get so wide, and then the chest gets, the chest can be broad, and it's like, okay, well, that's how it should be. It should be broader in the front. You
it,
can't.
it his chest. So the problem with his chest is his optical illusion because it's white.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
I mean, it's all white,
right.
right? And then you have this dark chocolatey color on the outside of it, so it
Southern.
just it brings it out even more.
Uh-huh.
But if you like actually look at some of
Put
these
hands on
pictures
him.
and when he's moving,
Yeah.
like he's not too wide in the front, he's not too narrow in
He's
the rear.
so
It's
big
it's just
everywhere.
a
That's what I'm trying to
big
tell
dog.
people. It's just like he's
Yeah,
not. When most people they think of extreme, they're thinking of a dog that's just big in like one, maybe two places, like
yeah,
massive head, giant shoulders, right?
like a messed
This
up looking
dog is
dog. You know what I
big
mean? Yeah.
everywhere. He's just big for no reason, as
He's
Chris
like
said.
big
He's big for
bone.
no
His
reason.
paws, his
Just
paws like
everywhere.
the size of my hand. I
Yeah, he's
got
got
big
mittens
hands.
on
You know
him,
what I
dude.
mean? Like the dog, he's a big
Yeah,
dog.
He's a
You
he
know,
big
is.
dog. He's a big
and
dog.
and he's all of like 18 inches or something like that.
Yeah.
120 pounds on 18 inches. Like you, and a lot of people say he's fat. When I saw him early in the year, like he was fat then. He was like 130.
I think, yeah,
Yeah.
I think
And
I remember Hannah saying that they were
yeah,
working
they
him
did a great job with
to
that
slim
dog
him down
because
a little bit for nationals. Yeah, absolutely. Because
yeah,
they knew the ring is bigger. The
they did a
ring is bigger.
phenomenal
Yeah.
job. He was not even in my radar. I didn't even my main dogs were Piggy, Mac,
Yep.
Hang,
Problem child.
yeah, but what's his name? Baby. There was a few that
Melvin.
were in my radar that I thought about, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But
Yeah.
I was hoping that a dog from the classes would come out of nowhere and be like, look at
Boom.
me,
You know,
you
place.
know?
Yeah.
this year's or last year's was a really hard nationals to do. You know, going into
I
it
cannot envy you.
not having that one or two, right?
Yeah.
The last couple of years have been so easy for everybody because you had one dog, you
Yeah.
know,
I mean,
or
there's
maybe two. You
right.
know, we made it
Exactly.
hard. We made it hard for the last two judges because we put Blue in there. You know what I'm saying? And both those times, Blue was at the very end.
Yeah.
Making it hard
There
for
were
for
some
uh for
dogs in that
Lou and
standard class for you to
yeah,
judge, brother.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So
Sad.
there was plenty of dogs there. They were all deserving to be in that ring with me. Um, and I thought that it was a great show. A lot of good competition came out. It was really
For sure.
hard for me to judge that show, especially in the XLs. Dude, it was really hard in there. So
Yeah.
What was that youngster's name, Amanda? You remembered his name and I didn't. That the young Hispanic kid that
The white that's
that XL that had
Money
the
Bag.
ticking on
I
it.
feel
That's
so
Money Bag
bad
owned by Cesar Castillo.
because he's here in Cali and I see him all the time and
Oh yeah?
I always forget Miguel or something like that.
Yeah, young kid, man.
Yeah,
He's probably early 20s. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's got some nice dog, McLovin and
I couldn't
some other
believe that
dogs.
dog was as young as it was when he was telling me.
Yeah,
I was like, my
yeah,
God, that's a big dog.
yeah, bro. So the XLs, I feel like the American Bully is going in a good direction. Our problem is the community. You know what I mean? The
Andy. Yeah,
community
absolutely.
is the big problem, and we have our classic people, we have our standard people, we have our pocket people, we have our XL people, we have our overdone people. You know what I mean? It's trying to balance that whole thing out. You know what I mean? So we can continue to be one community. But that happens just in general in life, period. So
Yeah,
if we could just get back to basics of breeding some badass dogs rather than egos and
I think
all
that
that.
comes back to cosign. It comes down to cosigning bad behavior, man.
Yeah,
You got a lot of people out here that they're just okay with anything, and
yeah.
let the people around them act however they want to act, and like
A lot of it has to do with how things are these days.
Yeah.
Social media and
That helps.
it's hard to combat all that extra stuff. Like back in the day, it was like I had to call you on the phone, you had to call me, and we talked dogs, and it was as easy as that.
And so it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah, exactly. So and it was on a landline. It wasn't on cell phones or anything like that. You couldn't be driving your car. So it
That's where
was
I'm calling you from right now.
yeah.
To Zach Morris. Oh my
It
God.
was just life was so much easier, and my kids are like, "What do you mean so much easier?" I was like, "You just don't know. You just don't know." I mean, the only thing I had to worry about was getting home before the street lights came on. That's the
it.
only thing I had to worry about. You know what I'm saying?
And we're the last goddamn generation.
Hey, look,
Yeah,
I could barely do that. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, I was
I'm
one of
actually
those
impressed you're
kids.
verbal right now. I'm proud of you, dog. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Um, so so to answer that first part of it, yeah, I think that the American Bully is still, pointed in the right direction.
I do too, man. I love. There's a look to the skull and the facial features that in the last 5 years I'm really impressed. Even a little longer than that, but the direction that the American Bully is going, like that wide smile and that short
Yeah,
muzzle and the shape of the crown and all that, man. Like
that's that uniqueness.
I think we're
That's what
really
sets us
coming
apart.
into our
You
own.
know?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do.
exactly.
And I love the look of our dogs, man. What a cool looking dog we've got, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I always find that you can almost deter. So this harkens back to the question that we always open with, John. And this is so we specifically ask people what got you into bullies. 99% of everybody says I came from pit bulls. right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got two different types of people.
Yeah.
One, the people that were such big fans of pit bulls that they still expect this breed to move like them, act like them, be built
Yeah.
like them, like, right? They still, they
Yeah.
cling to that love of that breed, right? And
Yeah.
there's no reason not to love them. There isn't.
No, it's a
Or,
great breed. I love pit bulls
I do
too.
too.
I
oh,
grew up
yeah,
with those.
same.
So,
Or there's
you know,
people that they literally, like, they picked the American Bully because they understood the assignment. They knew this dog needs to be bigger, broader, like
yeah.
gamey, like they're on board with
Yeah.
they're on the wagon.
They're supposed to have their own
Right.
unique identity, their own unique
Right.
look,
Yeah. They're
you
not
know?
clinging to a lot of that. And the thing is, you were saying it earlier where these dogs, I mean, they're built to be like family dogs. They're companions. And
They're
a
a
lot of people
companion breed, yeah.
have the thing in their head about what does companion actually mean? Like they still want these dogs to be able to do what? Like, so I mean
It's
there's
those hardcore, like, terrier people, like
yeah.
they still want the dogs to be able to work hard and chase shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want
Yeah,
my
this
dog
dog,
I
this
chasing
don't.
dog
shit.
should be
Like,
able
I tell you,
I would,
man,
walk
I'm
10
okay with
miles
my
without
dog
dying. I'm
walking
like,
down the street with me to the park,
I was
and
there, dude, back in the day, 15 years ago, like I had people come to me about the bully and stuff, and I was so partial to the pit bull, I wouldn't even look at it. I never even took a serious look at it. And I finally bumped into that dog, you know what
the
I mean? And I was
one
yeah,
like,
that changed your mind.
"Oh my God, what is this?"
Yeah,
And they're like, I said, I've never seen a pit bull like that before. And they're like, "Oh, brother, this
all
ain't no
about
yeah,
pit bull." And and
yeah.
and then when I got to learn about our breed, I realized that if I put my biased opinion down for a minute, that the American Bully was everything that the pit bull that I wish the pit bull was.
That the way that they would that some of the because there was always those hardcores,
Mm-hmm.
but then there was those ones that were like, man, this dog is just too much.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the pit bull,
Yeah,
right? They
right.
want an
They still have
American
that
bully.
love. Yeah.
they do. Yeah,
They want a loving family dog that they don't have to, like set obstacle courses up for.
right.
You know what I mean? They don't have to
You have to
like,
wear it out so it doesn't eat all their furniture.
yeah, but can still be, can still play with the kids and this and that. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of people are still on that. Well, they have to have great movement, and I mean, I feel like our standard, tells the story of the movement. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it doesn't mean that the dog needs to be able to do 16 laps.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
define
Around
great
a show
movement.
It's
ring.
yeah.
That's
It's called
ridiculous.
realistic
That's
expectations,
Yeah,
and the
that's
bigger
hard
dog, like this is
for
like a
me to do.
yeah.
I mean,
We're
I feel like, if I had to do what these dogs do in the ring all the time, I'd be gassed out too, asking for an oxygen
yeah.
mask and
These are the
give me a
shot
cool
put guys
coat.
on the track team. These are the
Yeah,
shot put guys. I'm sorry, they're
yeah.
not going to
So
move like the sprinters,
that,
I'm sorry, they're just not going to move like
they,
that
they
because
weren't
they're not built to do that
they weren't
anymore.
supposed to be that way. I mean, when you read it, heavy bone, heavy, like
Mhm.
big mass, like how is that supposed to move? Like you're basically describing a bodybuilder,
Yeah,
and they don't
they're
run.
Yeah,
not. They're
you
not
can't
built. They're
ask
not built
a
to catch a
bodybuilder
carrot.
to run
Yeah,
a marathon in the same time, in the same fashion, in the same way. Like they actually did like a motion, not a like an experiment where they filmed in multiple angles the way that different people of different builds, heights, whatever the case
yeah.
may be, and
I know what
how
you're talking about.
right, and
Yeah,
how
and
they
compare them
ran.
together.
And
Yeah,
it's just, I mean, they're just not built the same. So you have to have a realistic expectation as to how you expect these dogs to perform. They're not pit bulls anymore. They're not Amstaffs anymore.
no,
They're not bulldogs,
they're
mastiffs,
not
whatever. They're not
bulldogs
going to move like that.
anymore. Yeah,
They're yeah,
they're an American bully.
right.
Yeah, and
They're going to have
and
their own type of movement, and I mean, it's just it's not going to be. I will say this, and you may laugh, but when when the movement is described in the breed standard, the written breed standard, it says effortless.
yeah,
And you've got to try and imagine that term has to be, well, somewhat relative. Because
relative to the body type.
right,
You're reading the
right.
standard. So effortless as in, well, this dog is big boned and heavy on the mass. So obviously it's not going to move like a greyhound. You know what I mean? It's not going to move like a poodle. It's going to
Right.
move effortlessly like a big dog.
Yep. Yep.
And that's what it is. It's just when certain people read the standard, they come up with their own idea of what that standard is supposed to look like. And a lot of times it always goes back to when they first got involved in the American Bully and what that American Bully was that they first saw. That's what in their mind, that's what the American Bully is.
Absolutely.
And they could be right, you know what I mean? And they could be wrong. But I know what I started out with and what I continue to see as what the American Bully is supposed to be. I know in my mind, you know what I mean, and I separated the American Bully from the American Pit Bull Terrier and the American Staffordshire Terrier and the English Bulldog way back when I did my breedings. So a lot of my stuff, when you saw it, it wasn't like, what kind of pit bull is that? It was like, what is that? That's what people would say when they see Corrupt and Assassin and Da Vinci and the dogs that we had produced in those days. They'd be like, what is that?
Right.
And I'm like, well, it's called an American Bully. And they were like, is that like a pit bull, bulldog? Like, what is it? And I was like, it's funny you should ask that because it's
I don't need you to sit
all of
down on
that.
it without scroll.
It's all of that in one, and it's just like the Shorty Bull, French Bulldog, English Bulldog, Staffordshire Bull Terrier in one, and it's a Shorty Bull. But it was all that at one point in time when they first started.
Let's talk about this Shorty Bull.
Oh yeah,
More,
definitely.
Oh yeah,
we're
man.
rolling in that
I
direction.
know that's
You know
your
I'm
jam,
excited about
right? These days, right?
Yeah.
I want to know about Corrupt. I want to know about Corrupt too, but let's get into this.
Okay, yeah.
Do you want to talk about Corrupt before because once
you
I'm
guys
telling
want to
you one
ask
thing
about
right now,
Corrupt?
once we get on Shorty Bull, I ain't letting it go.
We're on Bullies right now. Let's talk about Corrupt.
I like it. Let's do it.
Ask any questions. I haven't been able to ask any questions, but this has been very, very good conversation. But Corrupt.
Caleb, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear you either, brother.
Say
like you're in
your
and out.
question again.
Nope.
Of course it's going to happen to you.
I could hear you and then I couldn't, bro.
All right,
Can you hear me?
just kind of clicked out there for a second.
Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
All right, so Corrupt. So I want to get back on the Corrupt. We're talking about the American Bully, like you said. Like, Corrupt is one of my favorite bloods. Like, that created the extreme class, especially and it bled into many, many classes.
It when Corrupt
the XL bled
came out,
and it created the standard class. But Corrupt blood, like, I love that. So you were the producer of Corrupt.
Yeah. So my kennel at the time, name was Cutthroat Kennels.
Yeah.
And my very, very best friend, Lauren Benele, owned Sky. Sky was Corrupt's mom. And then he and I co-owned Saber. So Sky was Corrupt's mom. Sky we got from a guy named Byron Johnson out here in California. He actually lived in the South Bay, in Bay Area, Menlo Park, somewhere down in that area. And he had these dogs in the paper. Like there was no marketplace, there was no Craigslist, none of that. He was just in the paper. So we went down to look at these dogs and we were like, man, these puppies are, they're bad. Like, they were blue. And then it was all about red dogs and white and, fawn. But these were blue. And he had blue and sage also there. and you know, we saw Sky, picked her up, and then, you know, brought her home, and she was just, you know, she had this white blaze coming down her face, and she was a blue bitch, and she was just bad. But if you've seen a picture of her now, you would be like, I can mistake her for a pit bull. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
back then, you know what I mean, like her blood was there,
Right.
you know, to produce, and that's what she did. She was a producing female, and her going to Sabre was, you know, the very first breeding that was done with her, and that was the very first litter, Corrupt. There was a second breeding, and there was a couple of dogs that came out. There was a couple of dogs. There was one named Gage that went up to I want to say Michigan or Indiana, and then there was a couple that went to Wisconsin, but a lot of them stayed within our kennel, Cutthroat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of those dogs, like there's like a dog named Prince Daz, and he ended up in like the Midwest somewhere. He was Corrupt litter mate, but not belly mate. So he was the same breeding done a year later. Yeah. So there was a few. There was a few that went international. We had quite a few. We kept the only female, and she only had 2 litters, and she lived till she was 11.
Yeah.
She lived till she was 11.
Nice. Good life.
What ended up happening was Corrupt was actually owned by one of our kennel partners, and his name was Jason. And he was the guy that actually came up with the very first kennel name, Cutthroat. Because Cutthroat is kind of like a saying that a rapper from here in the Bay, Mac Dre, always says Cutthroat and all that.
Yeah.
So he
I
made up, you know,
where the name came from in the first place. I was like, okay.
but yeah, and we he ended up wanting to do his own thing, you know, because Corrupt got all famous. And he was like, oh yeah, you know, I kind of want to branch off and do my own thing.
Yeah.
You know, and we were like, all right, cool, but I want to take the name. And we were like, well, the name is a little cutthroat anyway, so, you know, like we got to change it anyway. So he kept the name Cutthroat, and then we started West Coast Bullies up from there. But we were still, you know, partnered like homies, and hung out all the time. Actually, Jason was one of those guys that was like a hermit. So whenever something had to happen with Corrupt, he was either with me or with Lauren. Whenever we had to do a breed, I remember Big Kev had a breeding that he had to do with Corrupt. He couldn't get a hold of the owner, Corrupt, but at the time, Corrupt was with me anyways, because I was breeding him to one of my females, and he had already been with him. He had been with me for like 2 or 3 months. So Lauren had called me and was like, hey, you know, I can't get a hold of Jason. And I'm like, well, what do you need Jason for? And he was like, well, he's supposed to do a breeding with Kev, and he can't get a hold of him. And Big Kev just flew out to LA, and he's over at Rodney's house. And that was Rodney Bingley from New Trojan Kennels. And I'm like, well, I got Corrupt here. So if you need him, you can come get him. I can't go with you because I got all my kids, you know? So he and our partner from Sacktown Kennels drove down, and they did a breeding. And I forgot the name of the female, but she was a lilac, Pink Champel. Her name was Champel. So there was a lot of nice dogs that came out of that breeding. And that was like Big Kev's foundation for Midwest Monsters at the time. Like, you know, he had dogs like Crunk Juice and, you know, a couple of other, you know, big name dogs that came from that blood. Yeah. So but that's how that happened. And then that guy Jason ended up having like some issues, and he wanted to sell Corrupt, and we were like, well, you know, we have a contract, you know, you got to give us first dibs. And I ended up going out to a barbecue in Indiana for the lounge.
A little outside
And,
your home base there, Indiana.
yeah, way outside the home base.
Did you need a passport for that?
No, but I needed a driver's license, which I didn't have, but we ain't gonna talk about that. But luckily for me, in all these other states, like if you get caught without a license, they just give you a ticket. They don't tow your car. You know, you have it was like in Iowa or I think Iowa, they were like, you could pay now. And I was like, pay now? They're like, yeah, you could pay now and avoid court and all that. I was like, shoot, yeah, I'll pay now. I don't want to go to court. I'm not coming all the way to Iowa to go to court for speeding. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that was that. They ended up coming to my house and picking up Corrupt, and a guy here in the Bay Area ended up buying him, and you know, he was like, man, you know, don't worry, whenever you guys need to use them, any of your females, no charge, this and that. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't have him. I wouldn't have Corrupt. My mom loves him and this and that. I'm like, all right, cool. You know, we weren't gonna press the issue because he was a fellow Polynesian. He's Tongan.
Yeah.
So we were like, well, you know, we won't go through courts or anything. And he had a notarized letter anyway, so we wouldn't have won in court, right? But I had hit him up a few months later to breed to a Prince Dad's daughter, and he was like, nah, I'm cool. I'm like, what do you mean you're cool? And he was like, yeah, I already bred to a Prince Dad's, you know, daughter. And I was like, well, you know, I'll pay the stud fee then. He was like, nah, I'm okay. I don't want to do it.
What?
I was like, bro,
What?
like, so from there, I was like, you know, you F this guy, you know what I mean? All the while, you know, like 6 months ago, you were like, oh yeah, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have him and this and that. Like, what happened to that? So I just don't really care much for that dude. But that's how that happened. That whole split from Corrupt happened. But we had dogs that were just as good as Corrupt. It's just that there can only be one Corrupt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like there can only be one Dax, there can only be one Miyagi, there can only be one Blue, there can only one be Zero.
Correct. Yeah.
There only be one
Mhm.
Samson. That was it. There was only one Corrupt. So we had to, you know, make another hit. And although we did, it was the same thing for people, you know what I mean? Like the same extreme, you know, more bulldogish looking, but just a totally different look, period, you know? And we couldn't just outdo that anymore, you know? And at the time, no one was doing dog shows. We were just going to barbecues
I've heard
and
that.
picnics. You know what I
I've
mean?
heard that. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome. It's
that's
like,
all we were doing.
let's go see each
Yeah.
other's dogs and take pictures
Just to
and
see,
stack up.
we would barbecue, you know, and just have a real good time. And it was like really bring the family, bring the kids. We had one time and we got a jumper and just brought it out. We rented a jumper for the day, and we had a face painter lady come out, and we just made it like an event to where everyone was there. It was free. You didn't pay for nothing. We were a big group, the lounge, that we were able to put, you know, like $150 in each and buy. I think we bought like a few hundred pounds of tri-tip, like a couple hundred packages of chicken, like wings and thighs, and we bought you know, like dinner rolls and all that.
Yeah.
And then we just had one of the buddies come out with his mobile barbecue and he towed his barbecue out, and we just queued, and food was all free. You bring your own beer, bring the fun, bring your own pop-up, bring your own chairs, and we'll just have a good time.
That's what's up.
And dude, we had like, we were at this Discovery Park in Sacramento, and I want to say there was at least 700 dogs there, and there was probably about 2,000 people, like came from Texas, Colorado, Washington, Southern Cali, Arizona, like from all over the place. I mean, obviously people on like the East Coast couldn't really make it. Some people from the, like, well, obviously the Midwest came. Kev, he was from, at the time he was in Indiana. Paul was from Indiana. Tim was from Michigan. We had a few people come from Wisconsin. So it was half of the U.S. that came to this little group's barbecue, you
Yeah.
know. And then the next one we did the first ABKC show, and it was all, you know, the lounge. We called it the lounge.
The first
And they're still
ABKC
around
show.
today, you know. The lounge is still around today. I still see Big Kev and some of his people out there, like pushing the lounge blood and all this and that. It's like TLB. They changed it up a little bit. It started out being the Lockjaw Lounge, is what we called it.
That is
Yeah,
so
and
many
then,
meanings, and I have so many questions, but I'm not going to ask them.
well,
I'm not gonna
when you
ask them
think
'cause
pit bull, you know, there was that myth of a lockjaw, right? For a pit bull, people
Yeah.
said pit bulls had lockjaws, and so
Right.
that's why we called it Lockjaw Lounge. It wasn't American Bully yet; it was Bully Pit Bull. So it over time went from the Lockjaw Lounge to the Lounge, then Lounge, and then when Big Kevin and them kind of took over, they called it the Lounge Blood or Lounge Blood. I don't know whatever it was. I mean, they're still my buddies. You know, anytime I were to see them, you know, it's still brother love. You know. So,
Awesome.
but that there goes that history with Corrupt, man, and then a little bit extra.
Oh, no. I am here for the extra. Keep giving us the accoutrements. I am solid. I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
There's shows that will like go down in history, like the Pomona shows, and you know, the Duran shows and more shows, like the uh what was the name of their, it was like BK something, Bully Registry. It was called Bully Registry something. It was like the very first Bully Registry, but they never were able to get.
I think it's just BKC. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it might be just
Bully Kennel Club or something like that.
yeah. And it
Um,
kind of
it didn't
it
take
didn't
off because they didn't have the platform. They didn't have the software to do pedigrees.
right.
Is why it didn't take off the way ABKC did, because ABKC, you know, it was only two people that were trying to do the BKC, and Dave was the one half, and then the other guy, you know, was the other half, and you know, he had some shit that happened, and Dave didn't want to be a part of that, so he was like, all right, I'm gonna go do my thing, and you handle all that mess that you got going on over there. Yeah, it was like a big thing. It was all over the news, and it was something that happened in the desert, and that was it, you know.
Yeah.
So, but Dave did it, and you know, he did it with a couple other people, and originally there were two brothers from LA. There were twins, Adrian and Alfredo. They actually ran ABKC in LA. So
Oh,
ABKC actually, it started up in LA, and then ended up having to move over to Virginia. Yeah. So then it could be ran, the right way, because it never started. I mean, it was hard when the two brothers had it. They weren't like computer literate, and they already had the software to build pedigrees, but they weren't good at loading up information.
right.
So they had like boxes on top of boxes of people's registration forms. So when
The chaos is giving me angst.
so another person, and his name's Holiday. Charles May, everyone called him Holiday. He was part of Team Inc., and he was also the Elite Edge. He ended up becoming the president and the face for ABKC for a number of years in the beginning.
Yeah.
When he took over, they moved the ABKC office to his house, and then he and his family started inputting all this information in all of, I'm telling you, like office boxes full of registration forms, like thousands of registration forms from, all over the world. And I would take off and go to LA because I was very good friends with Holiday, and I would go down there and help them do this stuff at their home. And then we were like knocking these boxes out, but they also had their own jobs. the daughter had school, the son had school, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So if the
They have
wife had
lives and
work,
stuff. You know, the
yeah,
things like
everyone had
things
lives.
that get in
So
the way of these dogs.
yeah, so
Those
and
things.
then it's like I used to go fishing with Holiday all the time. Him and his wife would, come up north. They would drive up Northern California and go fishing with us in the bay. So we had to put all that fun on pause, you know what I mean? Because we had to load all this information up into the computers
Mhm.
and for the database. But
Data entry.
it's
Yay.
it's just a lot, and I wasn't, any good at computers, period. I mean, when I grew up, there was Macintosh, you know what I mean? And that was it, and Atari, so I was not a computer guy. Like this is me still.
Bless.
That's me. I'm like JOHN. I know where those buttons are. CERTEZA. I could write my name super
Oh
fast,
my
but
God.
if you want me to have a conversation with you, it's going to take a couple of minutes, and
Sounds
it
good.
take a couple
Wait
of
a minute
minutes for
while I
one
type this
sentence.
out. I'm a chicken
Yeah,
pick the
yeah,
And you're like, I'm typing.
yeah,
typing.
yeah,
that little
and
dot
so.
dot if it existed back then. People would be so pissed at you at this point. They'd be
Oh,
like,
dude, I'm telling
"Dang,
you, they
really?
really
You're still
would.
typing?"
Yeah, yeah. And
It's
so
like you're
it just
typing a novel and only 3 sentences pop out. They're like, "What have you been
exactly,
doing?"
exactly. There will be those bubbles on the bottom for like 15 minutes, and there'll be like 2 sentences. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, it like when I say like people, yeah, I come from the very very beginning of this thing. So it's just those like those are stories that people don't know about, and then
Yeah.
the office moved to Virginia, and then it got even better because now we have Dave's wife and the girls that work the office, and they actually very good at inputting information. You know what I mean? So but
Thank
yeah,
God
I
for
mean,
that. Whew.
yeah, like I'd be down there, and Dave would, or Holiday would be getting calls like, "Hey, why isn't my dog registered?" And I don't know. Let me find it. And then he's like going through boxes. So I'm like,
Look at
dude,
these
I don't know, man.
files. What was that name
Yeah,
again?
yeah. It's like files and files. It was crazy, crazy. So like watching, that part of the ABKC, like it's just amazing that it's international. I
It's
mean, if there
quite
were
the
people on Mars,
machine
they
now.
would have American Bullies. You know what I mean? And they would be registering their dogs in the ABKC if there were people on Mars or Saturn or wherever. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how big this thing is. But at the same time, we're still small. It's still in the very infant stages. Because it was fast tracked in the very beginning to like become its own breed, so then we could have these dog shows and just have our own identity. That now we gotta play catch up again with ourselves.
Hmm.
But we're in the right direction.
It's
we're,
become
we're
quite the machine now.
oh yeah, dude. I mean, they've definitely like taken it and oiled it up, and it's running, you know what I mean, on full tilt. you know
For sure.
they're in the office and they're like, send it. So yeah,
Don't
it's
tell
all
John to
good.
send it.
Right.
Don't tell John to send it. No, 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 no. Input.
Oh.
Yeah, data input is not his jam. Don't do it. Don't
Yeah,
do it.
no,
Don't do
yeah, no, not me. I'll mess everything up. Oh, I didn't know it was a grand. You know what I mean? Oh, it's a bully. I thought it was a, a Dogo Argentino. I don't know.
Right.
So,
I can't.
but yeah, there's a
Can't hear you, Caleb. We can't hear anything, bro.
What a
It's the
yeah.
earpiece.
Take
mess,
take that
Caleb.
out of there, man.
Get that. Give up the earpiece,
He's trying
bro.
to be
All right.
he's trying to be fancy, and this is what happens.
Yeah.
You know what?
No,
You know what
because my
you
speakerphone's
really need that
muffled.
big microphone that GrCh James has. That's what you need. The
Oh
big
yeah. Yeah.
microphone.
Yeah.
Don't give Chris James any praise during this live. Let's edit that.
He,
Let's edit that
the
out. First
official,
of
the official
all.
rep was that the official rep of the ABKC. Is that what he said? Yeah. You better be
Right.
careful. You
Yeah.
out, Caleb.
But no, John,
Yeah.
I love that you've been there from ground zero, from day one, and I love these talks that you're talking about from making files into computers.
Yeah.
Like, there's not many people that we can talk about that were from there from day one. Like, really, you've transitioned the breed. Like, you brought an extreme class of corrupt. But I know we were talking about, I want to take it full circle because we were talking about the Shorty Bulls too, which you've perfected. Like, you've taken it full spectrum and you created, well, you didn't create, but you had the Shorty Bulls that you're really perfecting the art of. Let's talk about
Yeah.
that and how that came about.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
show a Shorty Bulls at the Spa City show at ABKC?
Boss down in
That's Hot Springs.
was that
Hot Springs, Arkansas.
is that JJ's show?
Yeah, in
JJ and
Arkansas.
Ashton. Yeah, that was
You were there, right?
yeah, we had Blaze at that show.
That's where I met you at. I was sitting down with my wife watching the Shorty Bulls and watched. I think you won it that night.
Yeah, we got like 3 of them.
Yeah.
He bad.
Yeah, he
That-
did really good.
That was the first time I had seen your dogs and had met you that night.
Yeah.
Y'all
So the
killed it.
Shorty Bull, I got involved with the Shorty Bull a little bit after they came around because I was so involved in an American Bully. But the Shorty Bull and the American Bully, they were actually created like pretty close to the same time. But I got involved like maybe, I don't know, 7 years after they had come around, 7 or 8. And the reason why they caught my eye is, well, they had always already caught my eye because I did see a couple and I was like, oh, bulldog, you know, like I liked bulldogs, you know. But I just didn't like the ones that I was seeing, but I knew that, you know, at some point, you know what I mean, they were going to be nice because we did the same thing with the American Bully, right? So the one dog that actually really like planted it and said, hey, I want to be a part of this breed was a dog named Devil Horn. And he was produced by Devil Mountain Shorty Bulls. And that's our Shorty Bull partners, Joe and Carrie. This dog, I mean, he was around the same time, I want to say, as the GOAT. And those two were always battling it out. But Devil Horn was more like my speed because he had more of that like buff bodybuilder look to him, you know. Whereas you know, he was like low to the ground and he was wide and he was like muscle on top of muscle, you know, and so I really liked that look. But that dog right there, that's what really got me into the Shorty Bulls. And I hit the owner up, I don't know, like a week after a show and was like, hey man, I really like your dog. I like your program. I like the dogs that you bring to the shows. What's it gonna take for me to get, you know, one of your dogs? And you know, we worked something out. And this is around the time that I was transitioning from California back home to Oahu in Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I was moving back to Hawaii, and I ended up getting a female off of him a few months after I moved. So I was like back and forth a lot still too. So I picked her up and then we went home. She had to go to quarantine because I didn't know any better. I didn't know how to do what we know now.
Yeah.
Like how to do the quarantine at home. So she lived at quarantine for 3 months. Is it 3 months, huh? 4 months. 4 months. But Kira's mom works at quarantine, and her father-in-law or her stepdad and her cousin, they all work at quarantine. So it was like being at home, you know, for Cece. Yeah. That's how we got involved. And then when we got back, we ended up with another dog from Devil Mountain, and his name was Casino. He was already almost a year. And he was badass. He was a really nice little fawn dog. She ran him, and he was like number 2 for like 2 or 3 years. And I feel like a lot of the reason why he was number 2 is because on the West Coast, we didn't have as many shows as there were on the East Coast and the Midwest. So we couldn't, you know, we just couldn't attack as many shows, right? So like the number 1 would have like 20 some 30 best of breeds, and Casino would have like 5 or 6 less, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
because we just couldn't get to that many more. It just was, it was physically impossible. You know, the bank account wouldn't allow it at times, you know what I'm saying? So
That's real.
That's a
all
That's
you
big play.
real.
show dogs, all you are involved with these dogs, and you know how
That is
expensive they are.
100% real.
Yes.
Bro, it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, we've always, you know, really pushed Shorty Bull hard. But I feel like when my wife pushed Blue is when she got recognized more, you know, because Blue is Blue, right? So he's like, you can't like mention American Bully these days and say Blue, and no one's gonna not know what he is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but she's always been a great handler and always did really good at handling dogs. But Shorty Bull is kind of like where we're at. I'll always have, love for American Bullies, and at some point, I'll want to get back into breeding them. But the Shorty Bull really needed help, and it still does.
I'm
So
obsessed with
yeah,
Shorty
so
Bull.
so we're pushing really hard with these Shorty Bulls. I mean, she has like 2 males right now. One's like almost a year or almost 10 months, and the other one's almost 6 months. So she's got two more males that are going to be ready after this year. You know what I mean? That are going to take Blaze's place, and then so
I love
we're
it.
just going to
I
keep moving
love
forward,
it.
man. We want to touch the world just like the American Bully did.
Dude, out
Like I got
of
Man.
all
people.
the little breeds, all the little dogs, the
Yeah,
Shorty Bull takes the cake for me.
it's like a little miniature bully.
It is, man.
You know what I mean?
It really is.
That's
It's a
They're
why.
super cool.
boss. It's a
They're cool
boss
little
little
things, man.
dog, man.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I'm so drawn to Shorty Bulls, because
I love them, dude.
they're like little mini
An
bullies,
apartment
and
sized bully.
yeah, they're literally purse-sized bullies. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're super, and they're super fun. They're not like them exotics and the micros where you
Yeah.
can't
No,
really do
these
nothing with
dogs
them.
are terribly
Oh
well balanced. And like the ones that I'm
yeah,
seeing, they're structurally, they're sound, they're balanced, they've got good movement, their personalities are wild. Like
yeah.
they're not boring.
Like yeah, Blaze
They're
goes
so not
on
boring.
walks and runs
Like,
with the kids.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Joe and Carrie, they live in Colorado, and they take their dogs on hikes. All their dogs, they end up here anyways for Kira to show. But the Shorty Bulls, they're built to be,
They're very functional.
a
Yeah,
functional dog.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I got to
what
meet
the
Bronco
uh-huh.
at Nationals.
Yeah.
That's a good looking Shorty Bull.
Oh yeah, Bronco is a badass dog, like
Yeah.
bad,
Yeah, I think
bad.
he's not. I think they said 9 years old now.
Yeah.
But what a cool dog, man. And I like really when she stacked him for a picture for me, and he was so proud, like the way he stacked. It was just like
They
you know,
just have so much confidence, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they look like
God, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
when you
They're
see pictures of them,
20,000
you're
feet
like
tall is what they are.
expecting like this big, magnificent, like muscular, bully looking dog, and then you see him in person, you're like, they're that small, like
yes.
I would just a lot of my friends like they'll see pictures of Blaze, on my profile, whatever, and then when they actually see him in life, they're like, I didn't know he was that small. I mean, he's
Yeah.
still nice,
Is
but
Blaze who you won with in Hot Springs?
yes, yes,
Dude, I'm infatuated with that dog, man.
Blaze,
I told my
he's the
wife
he.
that night. I said, one day I want a dog off of Blaze. I want a Shorty Bull off this blood right here.
We can make that happen, brother. We can
I
make that happen.
would love that. I sent you. I'm sure you get so much stuff, man. I'll resend you a friend request.
Okay.
It'll be from Michael Higgason.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, man, I do want to get what about the time I move all my big dogs outside. We're
Hmm.
building a kennel this year, and
Hmm.
when I do that, then I want to get a Shorty Bull to
All
keep
right,
in the
right
house.
on,
Yeah.
man. Give me a
I
holler,
will,
brother. Give me a
man.
holler. We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
That's what we
He's got a
want. We want to
presence about
flood. We
him.
want to flood the community with Shorty Bulls.
Blaze has got a
Because they're
presence
great
about
dogs.
him that
He
is like nothing I've
owns
ever
the ring.
seen.
He
It
owns
kind
it.
of it kind of commands attention. You
He
know what I mean?
does,
Like
man.
you might not like little dogs, but when you see them,
You like the book.
it's hard
Yeah.
to not be impressed with them. You know,
Dude, I won't
especially
lie.
when
I mean,
he's stacked. You're like, damn, man.
if
Like,
I'm
look at
being
this
completely
dude.
honest, I was going to shows. I was into these XLs and into the American Bully and showing and doing my thing. I never even gave a look. Like I was busy doing other things when the little dogs come out.
Yeah,
I never even looked at any of them. And the first
yeah.
time they ever caught my eye was Blaze
At the hot spring
at the
show.
Hot Springs show, and I was like, "What is this thing, man? It's not a
Oh
Frenchie.
wow.
What is this?" You know. And me and my wife were like sat down at the show and watched the whole thing, man. And
Yeah, he did really good there, man.
I'm
He
trying to
did. I
remember
think he did.
the guy's
I,
name. I want to say it was Steve, but I may be wrong. That won second place. But he had
uh,
quite a bit of Shorty Bulls. He's got quite a
oh, that
reputable.
was oh man, what was their name? That it could have been the
Uh,
Shaybirds.
yeah, he looks kind of a little Hispanic, but I don't think he is.
Oh,
Joe,
Joe.
that's it.
He's
Yeah,
bald.
yeah.
He's Devil Mountain Shorty Bulls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's it.
Oh,
yeah,
heck
Well, there you
yeah.
go.
yeah,
Yeah.
He
yeah.
sat down with us.
There it is.
He sat down with us, and he was sitting there with us, and I was asking him questions, and yeah, that is who it is because we were just chit chatting, right?
Yeah,
And he was telling me about the breed. I was like, man, I love these dogs. Where they
yeah,
have they been here the whole time? I can't believe it, And I've been to 10 shows and just never took the time and sat down with them.
yeah,
And then I'm talking to this guy, and he gave me his card and all that, and we just he broke the whole thing down, gave me all this history, and we were watching his dog
yeah,
and your dog and all that, and then I looked him up when we left. It's been so long ago now, I forgot the names, but I
yeah.
looked him up and was like, babe, that guy was sitting there talking to us is a big deal.
He kind of is, man. He kind of is a big deal,
Kind of a
but
big deal.
he's not really one of those guys that has that ego. You know what I mean? Like he's not one of those guys. Like he's just a regular old dude. He
Regular
likes to go
dude, man.
hunting. You know what I mean? He loves to spend time with his dogs and family. He's just a regular old guy
Yep.
like you and I.
Yep.
And but he's a big
He is
deal
a big
when
deal.
it comes to Shorty Bulls because he's never given up. Right? Like he's been involved since they started,
Mhm.
and like he's done all the right things. Like he had dogs that had issues health wise, and got all this stuff health tested, and whatever was bad, he had to get off of the yard and start off fresh. And all his first 3 generations, everything is health tested, and all the breedings are still in house. He hasn't gone outside the house at all.
So
So
he's definitely got the.
yeah, he has
Yeah.
the recipe for
Yeah.
sure.
I love it.
And then we just show them. So, but I mean, we actually Kira and I produced.
And the ring and win.
Yeah, Kira and I produced the 22 National Shorty Bull Best of Breed winner.
Nice.
With our very first female from Joe and
Heck
Carrie. Yeah.
yeah.
And
What
then her
year
dad,
was that?
22. Yeah,
I
22.
was there for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually, I
It was
think my first
little
nationals
blue
was that
fawn
year.
female.
Me too.
She won the Shorty Bull, the best of breed for the Shorty Bull. So I mean, they just been in the lab producing dogs. A lot of times a lot of their dogs at that time were going to. Sorry, my daughter's right here, so my wife's looking at me like, should I get her? But a lot of times
She's great for the
they
close
were
up.
like just placing dogs out with friends and family,
Yeah.
to try to protect their lines, their blood, until it got to the point where they were comfortable like coming out with a finished product. When you see our dogs, you think like those are Devil Mountain dogs. You know, like there's no denying it. You see a Devil Mountain dog, you know it's a Devil Mountain dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's where they're at now. You
That's
know,
what you do.
and it's good. You know, we're gonna start really ringing bells and getting, you know, this whole community, you know, really interested in the breed. I mean, we've been doing it for the last year, but you know, I mean, our plan is to go to the next nationals in Asia, and then we'll do a couple more, you know, big shows here, and then we're gonna be there in December for U.S. nationals, and you know, we'll see what happens, man. I mean,
the nationals in Asia going to be at?
Philippines.
I
Wow.
love the Philippines,
That's this
man.
Oh,
month
I
too.
lived
yeah, I'd love to go.
I
Yeah.
lived in Southeast Asia for like 7 years, and
Or like Singapore or.
no, I was actually in Jakarta, Indonesia.
Oh, okay. Well, same
Same
island
region.
chain. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like while I was over there, I
That
got to like
region.
go to all those places right there a lot. You know, Singapore, Malaysia, Australia.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, the Philippines. It's all right there, man.
Beautiful countries,
Oh,
beautiful
geez.
islands out
Dude,
there, man.
Bali
Like
is, if you ever get a chance to go to Bali, man, that's probably the coolest place on earth, man. I
that's
love Bali.
one of the places that my wife, that Kira says I have to take her, and she's like, you're gonna have to take me within
Yeah.
the next couple years so I could still be young enough to really enjoy
Yeah.
it, you know.
Dude,
Oh,
So,
Bali is the most
not her,
exceptional
me.
culture, man. Yeah.
She's young. I'm old.
Yeah.
She's like, you're older than dirt right now, so you're gonna be, you know, you're not gonna be able to enjoy
Okay, so
things.
this is really not before she gets old. It's so you're young
Yeah,
enough
so
to not die in
I
around.
will
Okay, good. I
enjoy
got
it,
it.
and
I got
it'll
it.
be
I got it.
enjoyable for her. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay, there we go. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Yeah, we're
already
on that one.
I gotta be home at least by 7 o'clock. You know what I mean? Like I'm one of those guys
Oh,
now,
dude, I'm there.
and I'm watching TV and falling out by like
Hey,
8:30. You know,
hey,
so
I've nodded out twice on the show because
This
look,
man
I see it
here
in
they
your
is
want
like,
to keep
eyes.
me, they want to keep me going till 10,
Oh
10:30 and
my
stuff. And I'm
god.
like, hey, if the lights go out, I mean, it is what it is, you know?
like literally it took, okay, so this is going to be funny, Don. So I want to say this was a couple weeks ago, maybe. And I did not notice this at the time, but he was completely out. And my dog had done something that literally just was really, really loud. And like, I think either knocked something over or something along those lines. And it woke him up and everybody started laughing. And I didn't know what it was about until they were like, startled him awake. And I was like,
I'm telling you
he
right
was
now.
asleep.
If I were like one of the hosts on a show, everyone would know because you'll end up hearing me like
Never passed this. I
sawing
can hide.
trees down, man. Like
Don, listen,
I'll be like
listen.
that grizzly in the cave.
When I
I will
woke
be
up,
snoring my ass
when I
off.
woke up, I was so in the dark, right? So like, I woke
You
up
didn't
and
know
I'm
how
kind
long
of
he took.
like, I'm looking around like, did I really just fall asleep? And how long
And then
was
you're like,
I
man,
out?
how
And
long
does
was I
everybody
out?
know? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I'm like kind of looking at everybody and they're all laughing. I'm like, man, are they laughing at me or what? You know?
Yes.
Oh
Yep.
God, dude.
Oh, geez,
Yeah.
that's funny, man. That would
That's
be me. Like
me,
real
man.
talk. Like I sometimes I'll be sitting down, you know, trying to, you know, pat my daughter, you know, get her to stop, you know, being all fussy,
Compliment.
and I'll end up falling asleep within like 3 minutes, and
Dude.
she's still up fussy, and I'm sleeping on the couch, and Kira will come over and smack me in the back of the head and be like, "The baby's crying in your arms.
How
Are you
are you
serious?"
not awake?
Yeah,
I mean,
she's in your
she's
face.
so mad because she never gets to sleep through anything. She sleeps so lightly. I bet she hears a pin drop in the other room and she's awake, and you're falling asleep and this baby's crying right next to you.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed at her. I'd be
Yeah,
pissed at her.
no, for reals. I swear. Like, she'll be like screaming in my ear, and I won't wake
Bro,
up.
I can fall asleep standing up, man. I tell you right now.
Me too. I swear to God, I woke up one time. I don't get black eyes, but I get red around the face wherever I get hit.
Yeah, yeah.
I woke up one time, and I swear to God, I feel like Kira elbowed me in the eye because I was snoring so bad, because it was like all red right here.
Yeah.
Till this day, she won't admit it, but I feel
You've
like
been
that's what
asleep.
happened.
Man,
Dude, I tell you
well, so I
what,
used to know.
go ahead, Amanda.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I used to have a roommate where, like, literally we were sitting next to each other, TV's on, it's a movie she likes. She's knitting at our age, knitting. It was funny. We're like early 20s. This bitch is knitting. She's knitting next to me. We're full conversation, mid conversation. Like I realize she hasn't answered me in like 3 seconds, and I look over. She is asleep, still
Oh my
knitting,
God.
dead asleep. I was like, she's sleep knitting. Who sleep knits? It's like,
I mean,
what?
That's a
first
new
of
one
all,
on me.
how old is this girl that was knitting? Like, why was she knitting at this age?
This was back when we were like 21. I want to say 21,
It was
maybe
like one of
22.
those things
And
you
she
took
is
it
dead
up. You know what I
asleep
mean?
next to me, sleep knitting. Sleep knitting. Who
Sleep
does that?
knitting.
Oh, Amanda
I
took
could do the
over.
same thing.
We're
So I
probably
have a
sleeping on your
story.
daughter. I'm probably like,
I got a story. We were doing our show out here in California, and for us it gets real hectic, and we don't sleep very much prior to our show because a lot of times we have international judges come in, and they usually come in a couple of days early
like,
so they can kind of
acclimate.
wind down and then acclimate, and then we take them to go see sights and whatnot. But it was super bad this time because we have the baby, and she's not small anymore. She's running around,
Mm.
and she's like 30 something pounds of like devastating baby power, and
Oh, it's
Right,
serious.
isn't it?
like she gets into everything. I'm talking like everything. So we're like, and you never know when she's gonna sleep,
Yeah.
right? Like if she wants to be up in the middle of the night, she's
This
gonna
is the
stay up
practicing.
and be up all night, and she'll party, and like we have to stay up because
She'll
she
party.
may try to like jump off the bed and grab the ceiling fan. I don't know. This is how crazy this girl is.
I believe
But
that. I truly believe that.
so I was so tired, and I was bringing the judges to the airport, and I'm talking to Susan Ferdosha, the senior judge, and we're talking about her time in Russia because it was during the time that the war with Ukraine and Russia was about to
Oh,
pop off,
yeah. I can see.
and
Yeah.
and her room got raided, and
Oh
yeah, and
my God, not frightening at all.
yeah. So, but luckily she was with the Serbian judge Demir, and he talked to the guys in Russian and was like, "Hey, no, she's here for a dog show. She's not a spy. She's not, you know what I mean?
Oh
Like
my
she's an old lady.
gosh.
Like she's cool." Well, we're in the middle of talking about that, and I fall asleep while I'm driving them to the airport, and she's like, "John, John,
She was
John."
more scared in that car than she was getting her hotel room raided. That is messed
Yes,
up. That's
yes,
messed
she
up.
was. She was. And I got in so much trouble because like I went off the road and I kissed the wall. I literally kissed
Oh
the wall, and everyone
my
woke up, and
gosh.
here I am. I have like Susan, I have Roberto from Italy, I have Jonathan Lugo from Colombia, I have Vicente, and I forget who else was with us, but we're all going to the airport, and I'm like,
Y'all
I,
almost didn't make
I
it to the
yeah,
airport.
we almost didn't make it. I get out of the car and I look at the car and I'm like, oh, it's a little scratched up, but it's still driving, so we're going. Hey, hi guys, say hi. Okay, bye.
Best cameo
But
all night. Best
yeah,
cameo all
she's been
night.
like standing
I
on the
know I can
table trying to get my
hear
attention.
Gabby in the background.
Yeah,
Like, oh,
Dude,
my
yeah.
heart hurts.
I used to always say I get my best sleep when I'm driving. You know what I mean?
Hey, I can remember like driving one time early in the
I'm
morning, and I
going to learn new
wasn't going
reps
to
like
work,
way the
but I
road.
was dropping off one of my buddies, and I fell asleep at the wheel. And the only reason why I woke up is because a highway patrol pulled up next to us, shined his light into the car, and turned on his megaphone,
Yeah.
whatever, to talk, and says, "Wake up." So I get up and I look over, and there's this highway patrol, and I'm like, "Holy shit, dude! I don't even have my license. You're probably
That's
not
right.
gonna
You
make it
never
to
driver's license. Oh
work."
my God.
And I'm like this. I'm like, bro, I might have a warrant, like I'm hella young. So I'm like thinking, like,
Oh,
do I run? What do I do? you know. And
Yeah,
luckily for me, the guy says, "Stay up,"
I might.
and then takes off.
so
Right? He's
things
like,
are going
he's
on. You're
like,
like,
"Wake up!" And then I get up, and then there's light shining in my face. He turns it off, and I see it's a high patrol. And then my buddy was like, "Dude, are we gonna get pulled over?" I was like, "I'm running if he tries to pull us over."
You're on your
And,
own.
yeah,
you're
and then he's
explaining.
like, "Stay up," and then he takes off, and I'm like, "Oh my god, bro, we just got away with that one so smooth because
I tell you what, man. So I battle with this all my life, right? Like, I've been everybody honking at me at a red light, and I'm out. You know what I mean? And then when I
yeah,
when I started driving a dump truck,
That's what
I thought,
scares me. Is he
yeah, I
drives for a
thought,
living?
That's why I'm just
yeah,
like, I think I need to learn your routes so that I can avoid them.
right.
yeah.
So
You could
started
probably do it
driving,
like eyes closed for like a couple like 40 seconds, and then open them up, see where you're
yeah,
at, get your bearings, and then close
yeah.
them again. You could
Oh
probably do
yeah.
that.
Get your bear.
Well, when I started driving a dump truck, I thought like, oh, I don't know what I'm thinking. This is gonna be the death of me, you know, because
Yeah,
this big heavy son of a bitch is he's gonna take me and whoever else with me.
yeah,
But driving that big machine is totally different than a car. It doesn't.
yeah.
I don't get sleepy in the truck, having to shift all over the
Yeah,
place and pay
I
attention
know.
so
Yeah,
much.
Yeah,
it's different, and
more
it's
involved.
bumpier
Thank you,
too. You
But
know what I mean? Like,
Jesus. Thank you,
I will
Jesus.
say this though, man. This last year, my wife's been telling me forever. She's like, "Dude, you've got sleep apnea," and I'm like, "No, I don't." And I finally, she's like, I said, "You're gonna have to video me if you think I'm gonna believe that I'm not breathing and all this stuff." And she said, "Oh, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna video it." So she did, and she sent it to me. She's like, watch this," you know. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's pretty suspect," you know.
bro,
So
I'm the same. I
I
have my
went and had a
kids.
sleep study done,
Uh huh.
and it changed my life, dude.
Yeah,
Yes,
I gotta go do
you
that,
got to
man.
do it, man. That's why I brought it up because
I can't. Like, man, I'm a man's
I,
man. You know what I mean?
no,
Like, I'm not
I ain't
like.
got any problem
But my
sleeping.
kid, look,
I ain't doing
one
no
time
sleep
my kid was
study.
like, "Dad, this is how you sleep, Dad. This is how you sleep."
And you gotta wonder if
yeah,
they're exaggerating, but
He
they're
was like, "Dad,
probably
that's how
not.
you
And that's the
sleep."
worst
I was
part.
like, "No, it's not." They recorded me, and that's
What?
they were really nice
bro. Whenever I
when
finally
yeah,
got
he was
on
really
that
nice.
machine,
Like
Yeah.
I feel like when I sleep, I'm probably dead and turning into like a zombie
dude.
on Fear of
Whenever I
Walking
got that
Dead, or
machine, bro,
yeah.
real shit.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
I got that machine, I realized that uh, like I hadn't slept in my adult life. I did. I
You
realized
didn't
that.
get real sleep.
Well, I thought I was,
Yeah.
but I wasn't.
Only
And
when you were driving, though.
or when I was driving. Well, the problem was I had to get it. I had to get it wherever I could
Yeah.
get it because I was never really sleeping.
Yeah.
Even if it was 15 seconds.
Yeah.
But the first after I
Okay.
went for
Never
like
mind.
maybe 6 weeks straight on the CPAP, like man, like I remembered back when I was a kid and like I'd sleep all night and like my parents would wake me up for the day or whatever, and when I wake up I'm like almost drunk for a minute, like disoriented because I was sleeping so hard. Well, I forgot such a thing existed. Like
Yeah.
it's only when I got back on that CPAP machine did I remember,
Yeah.
like, oh, you can sleep so hard that you like trip over shit trying to go take a piss. You know, like
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
really
Like,
sleeping.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you.
Well, I hadn't done that in
Yeah.
20 years. You know what I'm saying? And now I'll be sleeping good now, boy. I tell you,
Yeah.
you be thinking man shit. You go get you a CPAP, bro.
I
It'll
I
change your life.
I need to, man. I need
the
to, but
CPAP is some man shit, is what he's
the
trying to
That's
problem
what
say.
is
I'm
that I
saying.
like my kids make fun of me, my wife makes fun of me, my friends make fun of me. You know
Yeah,
what I
Yeah,
mean?
but
I'm like, no, I'm
out
not.
of the room, the answer.
I'm not gonna do it.
yeah,
I'm just not gonna do it
yeah,
because I'm that petty.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not. You know, that's like my attitude towards it. Even though I
It's the
know
worst.
that yes, I probably need to, and
Yeah.
I
Well,
need to go to the
you heard
doctors.
it right here on Tuesday Night Live,
There you
man.
Yeah,
go.
I'm not a young man
If
The
anymore. I
you
get it.
affirmation you
I
if
needed.
just
you
don't
go
want to
do it,
admit it. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to admit it. Like, oh man, it just
You won't be down there long, bro, because when you go down there, they're gonna wake you up and say, "Yep, you got it. We're giving you a CPAP." Like,
yeah.
Yeah, when you fall asleep at your next
Kira
doctor,
will make me.
like
She'll
your next
probably make
doctor's
me an
appointment, they're gonna be
appointment.
like, sir,
Yeah.
sir,
Hey,
sir.
John,
That's
she's
it.
making you an appointment right now. She's making you an
Probably.
appointment right now.
I heard her laughing
Right
when I
now.
was like explaining how I sleep. So
Oh, Lord.
dude,
it is for all of
it's
them.
crazy. I'm with you, man. I fought it for years, and now
Yeah.
I'm very thankful to have done it, man. It really has saved my life because I'm learning about the health risks with it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's hard on you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean,
You really
we all get old,
don't know what
and
good
we
sleep
got to
is
do.
until you've
You know,
actually had it, and you're like,
we have
where's
to
this
at
been?
one point admit it. You know what I mean? And just accept it. I'm just not ready. I'm not ready yet. You know, like that's like my
What are you gonna get
attitude on
ready
it.
for? Because
I'm
eventually she
just
will kick
not
you
ready
out into
yet.
another room.
I got another year that I could hang with the boys. I'm not
You got
ready. I'll do it
time.
next year. And then when next year comes, I'm not ready. You know, like I'm that
Yeah.
petty
Yes,
about it. So
Yeah.
it's always a year off.
You're
It's
not
always
ready.
a year off.
it's
Be
always
ready.
I'll do it
every
next
time.
I feel
I'll do it
so much
next
Exactly.
better, man. You'd feel so much better, dude. I'm telling
You're
you.
like the third person that's told me this too. So
I had a bunch of homies
yeah,
that
maybe
had
three
it, and
times the charm.
yeah, because I tell you, I had a bunch of homies that had it, and I was like, man, I'm not going to sleep with that Darth Vader shit on my face and blah blah blah. And I would give them hell about it. I'm like, dude, keep talking shit. I'm gonna crimp your hose when you go to bed tonight. You know what I'm saying?
I'm like, man, I'm not putting that shit on. COVID is over.
Right.
I'm not that
Yeah.
little Chinese guy driving around with the mask. I'm not the ones in the casino with the mask. I'm not the Asian. You know,
Yeah,
I get
dude.
it,
I tell
man.
you what, I was the same way. I can't get to where I can't wait, man. When I go to bed, I don't mess around. I kiss my leg goodnight, and I strap that thing on and.
He said, I can't wait.
Strap me in, Scotty. Beat me up.
Oh
Oh my
man,
God.
I'll be
yeah. Oh
sleeping
man,
good, man.
you're trying really hard.
I
You're
am, dude,
putting a
because
lot on it, brother.
He's pitching a good sales point right now. He
He
really is.
definitely is,
Selling
bro.
for
You
real.
used to sell cars.
well, I don't know what I didn't sell at some point in my life, but I tell you what, the thing about me, man, I don't like to do good, and I don't like to have benefited from something and then see somebody else that needs that
That
same
Yeah.
needs
benefit.
it
Without bringing it
yeah,
to them.
not be
Yeah.
able to share.
Yeah,
I get it, brother.
yeah,
I get
that's
it.
it, man. And I guarantee you, dude, I guarantee you, to make a hell of a difference, man. Yeah, I could. One of the things that bothered me the most is I couldn't watch any episodes with my daughter. I'm sitting down trying to watch
You'll
TV with her.
fall
I can't
asleep.
watch nothing without going to sleep, man.
5 minutes
Nothing.
in, you're knocked out.
Mhm.
Yep.
I'm the same
Yep.
way,
I
bro.
hate you both.
Unless it's something that I'm interested in, then maybe 15
Maybe
minutes.
I can fight it out.
Maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
10 minutes of
If it's
barely
dogs, I may
there.
last an hour.
man,
Don't
yeah.
ask me to recite what I just saw because it didn't happen. I'm sorry. Oh, no,
So
I'm with you.
when's your next show, John? What do you got going on this starting off this year?
I'm doing Sweden in March.
That's right. I saw
Yeah,
the logos for
yeah.
that.
That one's gonna be really cool. I mean, anytime I go out of the country, the hosts, they always take really, really good care of us, and then we have the opportunity to, obviously we're gonna see all those dogs from the, internationally, but we get to see the international sites, so
Yeah.
that's gonna be
Absolutely.
cool. So I have Sweden, Italy, and Hungary so far this year. I've had
Yeah.
like Philippines ask me. It's just every time they have a show, it's like I'm in Sweden for one, and then I'm in Italy for the other, and then let's see, who else had asked? Bogota, South America, and I'm like, man, I mean, am I going to be able to come home? Like, or are they just inviting me down to take me away? Like,
Yeah.
nah, I'm just playing. I love those guys. Period. You know what I mean? Like every time we've gone down there, they've been like great people out there.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, and when we went to Peru, like everyone's just so like nice and welcoming. Like it's super different. In South America, like it's really cool. The people down there are super cool. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
They got a lot of
uh,
pit monsters down there, don't they?
yeah, yeah,
I think so.
yeah, a lot. I mean, that's kind of like where they originated from,
Yeah,
right?
Brazil
Down there.
and yeah,
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 down in Brazil.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
What do
Peru,
you
I
think
love
about
Peru.
those dogs? You been around them much?
I I haven't been around them. I've seen like the pictures floating around of them. I think they're kind of cool looking. You know,
They are.
like they're
I feel
they're
like a lot of people in American bully world were threatened by it, and I think it's ridiculous because to me, I don't think it's going to replace our breed at all. I think it may be
no,
just eventually be another breed in the show.
yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, and that will be super cool.
Yeah,
It's kind of
like the
like
pit bull and the American bully,
well the
and
American Pit Bull Terrier and the Amstaff.
yeah,
It's like the same thing. It's like the German Shepherd and the Malinois.
yep,
It's like they're similar,
similar
but they're not
breed.
the same.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got to meet
but
Big John at Nationals, man. That dog's a trip, man. Big
My
dude.
dog
yeah,
is so
I didn't
big.
get to see that
You know
dog.
his fence is
That's
so
the
big.
one that looks like his eyes are close together. He's got a real memorable face. I'm trying to remember the guy's
No,
name.
I didn't see him at Nationals though.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
he was there.
you were
I was
busy
in
in
the
the
ring,
ring.
so I
You
wasn't
didn't,
seeing too
you,
much.
no, you missed out. You
Anything
missed out.
outside.
Man, the
Yeah,
dog
I
was
wish I would
so
have known
big.
though.
I was
I
blown
wanted
away,
to
man.
see that dog and see how their structure is and how
Dude, listen,
how big they
the
are.
dog had all kind of rear end, right?
Which is
21
surprising
inches, 21,
for
21 inches tall, 30-inch head, great top line, uh,
God,
made no
and
sense.
147 pounds
Yeah,
at 21 inches
wow,
tall.
yeah. The dog
wow.
made absolutely zero sense, and so to see him, I mean, it just doesn't. He just damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah. Hey, for
Damn.
lack of a better word, right?
Yeah, for
Damn.
lack of
Yeah.
better
No.
words,
Yeah, I
like
get it.
um, yeah,
It's
It's
a
kind of
neat
like
looking
how I
creature, man.
felt when I saw my first bully pit bull. I was like, damn, I
Mm-hmm.
had never seen anything
right.
like it before in my life.
Yeah. That's
So
how
yeah,
me and Amanda were tripping on that dog at
there's
Nationals, man.
Yeah.
another breed it's like a concept breed, and it's the Mayo.
The Mayo or Mayo Mayos. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
So
about.
the guy
The Pressa Mayo
is
or
a friend
something
of
like that.
mine. Chad's a friend of mine. I
Yeah.
know him. He's from the Pacific Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when he started talking about it, and like I remember his first breedings, and I was like looking at the concept, the pictures that he had, the
Yeah.
sketches, and I'm like, dude, this is a really badass looking dinosaur, prehistoric looking dog. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, and then fast forward, 6 or 7 years that I haven't talked and seen him,
Yeah.
and he has a few
Yeah.
dogs now on the ground that
Prototypes. So to
are
speak. Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
really close to being that dog, and I'm like, wow, bro,
Yeah, I
like
didn't know if it was possible because I
that.
mean everything
I didn't
is
think what he
selective breeding at
wanted,
its
those
finest.
pictures. I didn't think he was going to be able to achieve it that soon.
Yeah.
Um, and it really hasn't been that long. It's only been like six,
Yeah.
7 years that
Yeah.
he's been
Because
doing this
he had just kind of
project.
started that project publicly
Yeah.
almost
And
when
so
I was getting
now
into
he's at the
it. So
point
it's like
where he needs to bring in bone and mass. That's all he needs to bring in to like have it look like the concept,
right.
because he has like the head shape, the
Yeah.
body type,
The head shape
body
was the
length
one that I felt was
is
probably the head shape and
going
the
to be
rear are the two
hard.
things that I was afraid were
Yeah.
going to be like the most difficult and take the longest amount of time to do. But he's
Yeah,
managed
that's
to
why you
get
attack that
the head
first,
first.
right?
Like it was
Yeah, you
right.
go after that part of the body
Mhm.
first, so that once you have that down, you can start working on the functioning parts, and then from the functioning parts, then you bring in that bone, that
Yeah.
mass. I mean, that stuff that's easier to bring in
Right. And
than
for yeah,
not, right?
absolutely.
So
Now, if anybody's
he's
never
actually
seen,
getting there. I can't wait until that's a finished product, and I feel like that's going to be a breed that a lot of like bully enthusiasts are gonna like really like,
they're really going to
because
enjoy
there's
it.
a lot of bully enthusiasts out there that like bull terriers,
Well, right, and so for anybody that's kind of confused as to what kind of concept breed we're talking about. Basically, imagine, I don't like body wise. It's hard to decide if it's the mass
what I would say
a
would be
canary.
like a bull terrier,
But yeah, bullhead.
like
Yeah,
the
bull terrier head.
frame of maybe
Presa
an
Canaro.
XL bully or something,
Part of me feels like
something like that.
it's closer to a canary dog.
Yeah,
Like the Presa Canaro. Yeah. And
yeah,
then,
something like that. It's
yeah,
definitely a mastiff.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
And
a
it's,
mastiff style dog,
yeah,
but it's shorter. You know,
yeah,
so it's like a pocket too. You know,
yeah,
like he took a mastiff, put a bull terrier head on, cut the legs, you know, like a quarter of the legs off,
yeah,
and put more bone into it, and now
yeah,
you have that Mayo Pressa something. I forget
yeah.
what it's
I haven't
called.
seen them. I don't guess.
Look
Oh, look it
it
up.
up,
Yeah.
dude.
You gotta look it
Send
up.
me
I
something
can't
on it,
remember
Amanda.
exactly what the. I'm so used to grabbing my phone to look shit up. I can't even
Yeah,
do it
you
right
can't
now. But
because I have you hostage. I'm gonna go ahead and tag him in the comments.
World.
But the crazy part
Molosso
is that's like
Pressa
looking for your
Mayo.
phone when you're on it. You're like, oh, I gotta find my phone. You're like, oh, I'm an idiot. But like, so the way that this bull terrier like head is implemented, it's got the sleek profile, so it doesn't have the the dip from it's just
Yeah. Doesn't
straightforward,
have
but
a
it's
stop. It's
long.
got the egg
It's
shape.
got
Yeah.
it's got that still that apple cheek, that really
Yeah.
heavy bottom jaw.
Yeah.
So it's a box. So it's not that beautiful rounded egg.
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah.
beautiful like just slant box.
I
So
did
I
see.
don't
I
know how
did
he
see
did it.
one.
Yeah.
I've no idea how he did it, but I again, like I posted it, I tagged him in the comments, so you can go to his page and take a look because
Yeah.
he's very forthcoming with how he's creating them, and he's also very forthcoming with how
He's a
he
super cool
selects the
dude
next
too.
generation and how picky
Yeah.
he is. And he's like, no, I'm going to take a
Yeah.
break from this generation because I'm using this one to build
Yeah.
this, and if it doesn't
Yeah.
work out, another
Yeah.
generation. So he is very, very transparent with how he's
Yeah.
doing this, and it's I feel like it's the right way to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's definitely the right way, and it's just him doing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
He's
you
working on
can't.
it.
So whatever he comes up with, that's what it is. You can't get it wrong, right? Like
Right.
Yeah.
that's the Molosso Pressa Mayo or Molosso Mayo Pressa.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
Molosso Pressa Mayo, I think.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Because the dude's
Yeah.
name his last name is Mayo.
I've always loved
But
the bull terrier, man. They're such cool little dogs.
yeah, ever since Friday, you know what I mean? Like it's been like that dog, right?
Yeah.
Ever since Friday.
I remember
What was his
Buzz
name?
McKenzie when I was a kid.
Spuzz McKenzie
Yeah,
too,
hey,
right? Spuzz
hey,
McKenzie was cool,
Chico, count my
but
money.
nothing was
Party
better than
monkeys.
Chico. Yeah, that was better than that, bro.
Yeah.
Like Spuds was kind of like a show dog. Chico was that bully. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah. So
We had a question from Sean earlier, and I feel terrible for missing it because it's like 20 minutes ago.
shoot.
I know, right? Oops. We're great at this. He says, can you briefly describe what exactly a Shorty Bull is? Like example, height, weight, what breeds were used to create it? I think you touched on that earlier, but just kind of a recap.
Yeah.
And then what's the difference between like a Shorty Bull and like what would be considered a clean micro?
Everything is different. You know what I
I
mean?
like that.
Everything. So the Shorty Bull is the French Bulldog, English Bulldog, and the Staffordshire Bull Terrier. There was also another version that was French Bulldog, English Bulldog, and Oldie. And those were the Staffordshire Bull Terrier was Blue River and the Oldie was Blue Rock. And those were the two kennels that actually came up with the Shorty Bull. I don't know why one went with an Oldie and one went with the, Staffordshire Bull Terrier. I don't know. That was just the way it went down. Blue Rock and Blue River. Yeah. But the height is 15 inches and the weight is no more than 40 pounds. But it can be, but it's got to be proportioned to the body as well, and an obese dog is like a fat dog is it's a fault. It's a big fault.
Yeah.
But like as far as like
How tall did you say they were?
15 inches.
Yeah.
That's where
And
they're-
there's a
the
weight.
height. The height max.
There's an actually established weights. That's a fault to go over that weight.
So if it's over 40 pounds, it's got to be proportioned to the body and
okay.
still stay
I
under
hear you.
15 inches.
So it's almost
So
excuse the heavier weight. It would need
the
to be that.
heavier weight can be like a 42, 43, 44 pound dog. You could look past that if it's proportioned to the body. You know what I mean? So if the dog doesn't look overweight or obese, then it's fine. But an obese dog is a serious fault. So a fat Shorty Bull is a fault.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I like that.
I mean,
they weren't made to be. They were made to be able to run around and have fun and play
Yeah.
on a ranch. You know.
Yeah,
Um,
they're very their mobility is great, man.
Yeah, and they got that. They got their that from the Staffies. You know,
yes,
they're muscular
the
and they're
Staffordshire
built.
Bull.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Staffordshire Bull Terrier.
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody
that's
here has actually seen one of those Staffordshire Bull Terriers, but those things are bad. They're bad little things. They're like little meatballs. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
that's
Nope.
how they were able to. The creators loved Bulldog.
Mhm.
They loved everything about. I mean, the look of a bulldog, but they just wanted a bulldog that could actually work or be in a farm type of environment. You know what I mean? And that's why they bred the Frenchie, the English, and the Staffy or the Oldie, so they could bring in that more functional
The
body.
Shorty
Because
Bulls jump pretty good.
oh hell yeah, bro! Like a lot of our dogs, they're like they hang off tires.
Yeah.
I mean, go to Devil Mountain Shorty Bull website. You'll
I'm
see
going
them.
to.
Yeah,
Blame. They having
they
a good
jump.
old time.
When we were back home in Hawaii on Oahu, we lived in like this plantation style home. So it was above ground, and it was a good like 3 foot drop. But like these Shorty Bulls, they're not big at all. And our female that we had these roosters, man. They would be cooing all morning, like first light, and I hated it. So I would send my shorty out, and like she bowled out the door, she jumped off of the porch and jumped like 12 feet, you know what I mean, out.
Wow.
Like and be zinging and zooming. I mean,
Super
she would
dog.
catch these chicken. So
Yeah.
that's how agile they are. That's how athletic they are. Like we had this like hill that went up the side of our house, and she would like run up that, and then she'd chase them down, and she'd jump halfway, and it was like a good 10 feet high that she would jump from and chase them, because they get their running start, and then they kind of fly away, halfway down the hill. So she would jump after them, and she would grab them. So
Man.
shorties
I know that
they're made.
yeah.
They're supposed to be athletic, and they're
Yeah,
supposed
I
to
know
be
they
able to.
move good and run good. I
Yeah.
just didn't know if they jump good like Boston Terriers do. Like
Yeah.
they're
Oh yeah, no, they can jump,
yeah.
brother. Yeah,
Because
Yeah,
I
'cause I
want something that
remember.
can jump up on the bed, jump up in my lap
Yeah.
and all that.
yeah.
They won't have a problem
Blaze will
doing
jump
that.
up on the
They might
bed.
jump over you, in fact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
I
knows
remember that.
that we want to pick him up to get on the bed or get off of the bed, because we don't want him to injure himself
Yeah.
before a show.
Naturally.
But you know what I mean? Like, but he can jump up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could definitely jump up
Yeah,
on the
because
bed.
I remember the first Shorty Bull I ever met was actually, I want to say, Christina Mattis. She has Elora, her cute little white and well, it's either fawn or lilac piebald Shorty Bull. And Elora is, I think she's a champion now, but Elora, she had sass for days, and she was really agile, and
Oh, I know which one you're talking, Christine, the one with the Frenchies,
yeah.
the one that has
So she
Romeo.
has a,
Okay,
her Shorty
yeah, her
Bull
female.
Elora. I can't
Yeah.
remember where she got Elora from, like what blood she comes from, but she's got an amazing personality, great stage presence, and this little thing has, like, if she's trying to make a point, she kicks her back feet out. She's like,
Yeah, she's sassy.
It's like,
Yeah, that one's sassy. I remember I didn't have competition, and she had her there, and I was like, dude, can we? She was like, well, you guys have wasabi, and you know, there's no way that she's going to beat him. I'm like, you never know,
Right.
right? Like, you literally never know. But, you know, I'll pay your entry fees for her because I need competition, you know?
Yeah.
That's the hard part, too, is like, you
What
know,
happens if that person that she kind of bullied into the ring beats you?
Exactly. So that she got one of them and got a champion win. Yeah. So you never know, you know, like I always tell everyone and like, you just got to show your dogs. You got to bring these shorties out. So then, you know, people will see them and they'll see that they're competitive and you know what I mean? It just, that's what we just got to do.
Yeah.
We got to get the world to see
Gotta
them.
get that breed jumping, man.
Yeah. We have like a waiting list. My God, I don't know how we'll ever be able to fill it.
But I
We have
love
people in Europe.
I
We have
love
people in Europe, the Philippines.
Well,
I got
I
people
want
in
one.
Canada, people in South America. They're like, oh, well, I need a puppy. I need something off of Blaze, or I need something off of Blaze's parents, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Well,
it's
so
crazy.
in your opinion, do you feel like there's enough consistency in the Shorty Bull that it's going to make headway faster in gaining acknowledgement in larger, I mean, let's face it, more prestigious registries, more all breed registries?
It's happening now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're really starting to. The Shorty Bull is really starting to, you know, pave its own way.
How long's the Shorty Bull been around?
About 20 years, like the Bully.
Yeah.
About 20 something years. Yeah. I think that it's still going to take a little bit, you know, to be recognized by AKC. You know, like AKC is like, you know, a world renowned, you know, registry. They need you to have the credentials of 100 years or something like that. You know what I mean? So
some of those, they acknowledged a new breed this recently, and it's like 40 years old.
That's been around.
It's a breed that's been here for a minute.
I know that lady that had Bronco was telling me that they've been winning with their dogs for like 20 years. She was telling me.
Yeah. Connie's been winning with her dogs. Like she's won her fair share of nationals. You know, like she has a good program over there too. Yeah. She's got a really good program. I mean, I put her dogs up many a times for best in show.
Her husband's a nice guy too.
Oh, Tommy's awesome, man. He's hella cool.
Yeah, cool.
We just got to get everyone, you know, more active, and then bring in all these new people. You know what I mean? That are hungry to go and show off their dogs and their program and their stuff.
I hope to be there one day, man. I love them little dogs.
Man, I'm telling you, you can't go wrong, brother. You can't go wrong. Everybody needs a shorty in their life.
Right. Now here's the thing. It's like obviously having a shorty is amazing, but so y'all have been killing it in the ring, especially Blaze, and you won Euro Nationals with a shorty. And like
that was a dream come true. You know, like the reason why we went there is because Kira couldn't show Blaze at U.S. Nationals, so she was like, "Well, you're gonna have to take me to Euro Nationals, and if they have a South American Nationals, you have to take me there." And then they announced Asian Nationals, and she was like, "You're gonna have to take me there too." I was like, "Wait, hold on, I have to take you to 3 different nationals now because I judged U.S. Nationals." And she's like, "Yeah, that's how it goes."
I like her.
Give it and take, like you said.
I think
give
it's
and take.
fair.
Sounds like my wife.
Yeah. So, but just going there and you know, there was 5 other breeds there, you know, and it was surreal, man. Like it was, you know, I knew that we have a contender. Like I'm not, you know, I'm a dog man, you know, I know a good dog and I know that we have a contender, but at the end of the day, does that judge like our, you know, our breed? You know what I mean? Did our dog perform well enough, you know, to stamp it down that he deserves it. I just don't. You never know.
I can't imagine how
But to
it
be
feels, man, to have a production
well,
that
here's the thing. Like being able to like win breed at nationals is a big deal. But to be able to go in against all the other breeds, like we're the underdog. I think a Shorty Bull has won nationals one other time in
Wow.
the history of nationals.
Wow.
And that was like way back in 2010 or something
Yeah.
like that, when there wasn't as many good dogs,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
so coming in as a multi-breed and not a French bulldog, you know what I mean, or an American Pit Bull Terrier or American Staffordshire Terrier, we're definitely the underdog, so it's a really big deal, and it was a big deal for us, and it was a big deal for the breed. And we just hope to continue to do right by the Shorty Bull. And hopefully, I got a bunch of people in the Philippines. They're like begging me to come, begging us to bring Blaze out. So we're gonna bring him out there, and we're just gonna have a good time, and just so then they could see him, because they over there they have like condos and apartments. They have small homes, so
So they need
a
smaller
Shorty
dogs.
Bull, it's kind of like perfect, and they're all like a Shorty Bull is perfect for over here, and they can stand the heat,
Yeah, that was my next question. Is like, as far as like that humidity, that heat, like obviously, I mean, your dogs are running around in Hawaii, running up
Yeah,
hills.
exactly. Yeah,
Like, I think they got it.
yeah, they could stand the heat. They can stand the cold, and they could stand little 1.5-year-old monster girls. And hi, the daughter's right here. So, but yeah, I mean they're a great breed. I just hope that at some point we get to where we have full classes like the American Bully, right? So where we have 13 to 15 champions,
Yeah,
and like 7 or 8 grand champions, and full age groups, at least enough to make to constitute competition,
right.
right? So
Yeah.
then that way we can start making champions and grand champions and
Oh,
titling
absolutely.
dogs.
Without one person basically creating their own champion class because they're the only ones doing it.
I
Like,
mean
yeah.
we would sometimes have to bring 2-3 dogs to be able to like even do anything. Like, all right, well we'll bring these dogs because we need to have at least 3 champions in there. So we'll bring 3 champions, we'll bring a grand, and we'll bring a
Yeah, you're
whatever is
creating
coming
your
up,
own
right?
class to
Yeah,
compete against. You're like, this is getting started. It gets, I'm sure the wear and tear on that is just, yeah,
that
you get to the point where it's like more
it's
people need to be
expensive.
involved in it. Yeah.
Like traveling too
Mm-hmm.
is expensive. I
Oh,
mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
just us, I mean, going to Belgium, that was an expensive trip,
I bet.
to go to nationals, but it was well worth it, because it got the Shorty Bull in Europe, and it got people interested in the breed and wanting, like, I actually have Kira and we have some doppelgangers. They're also John and Kira. They're from Ireland.
What?
They're like the coolest couple. Yeah, they own
Of course
that
they
dog,
are.
Mr. Bean, a muscle tone dog, Mr. Bean. John and
Yeah.
Kira, they're super cool. They're picking up a male and female from us, and
Okay.
then yeah, from us in Devil Mountain. And then
Nice.
there's a couple other people out there in Europe, a couple of handlers, a couple people in Russia. Um, there's a pastor in the Philippines. He wants one. He wants to be able to show it. So it's gonna be great being able to get the breed out there and
Then you got
show the
Michael
world.
Higgason wanting one in
You got,
Arkansas.
apparently you got Adam Fields' mom who's like, well, and the thing is like, so Michael actually answered the question earlier about the lifespan, and like he answered with what was it, 10 to 13 years, which is obviously for a dog with basically the facial
The
structure.
Bracula dog. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a long, healthy
That's
life.
actually
Yeah,
like, yeah, that's
yeah.
actually really, really good. And so obviously, so Adam's gonna be fighting an uphill battle, I think, trying to make it so that his mom doesn't get one.
Oh,
But I know that Sean had asked another question about Shorty Bulls that I think is kind of obviously something that you know more about than any of us would. But as far as like price range wise, compared to Bullies, I mean, is it pretty comparable, or
it's
how do you
it's
feel that is right now, especially
it's
right now?
pretty close to the same.
Yeah,
You'll see numbers of like 3,500 to like
yeah,
7,500.
yeah, pretty
Um,
comparable.
and obviously, the dog's title will, I'm
Oh,
saying,
from
like,
that.
obviously Blaze's stud just kind of went up a little bit after Euro Nationals. You know what I mean? He did really well in
It's base price, it's
24.
not today's.
Yeah, he was the number one Shorty Bull in 24. He won the best of winners in 23. He was actually the number one dog in 24 also, with the most breed wins. And then he pulls off, a bunch of sweeps. I think we had like 3 or 4 sweeps at different shows.
Mercy.
And then and he pulls off, the big win at Euro Nationals. So, we went to the Blizzard up there
Yeah,
in
I saw the pictures from
Ill-
that. That was awesome.
in Illinois, and he
Mhm.
got 2 best in shows there, but he got the best of the best there. So he got best of the best at Michiana also.
Yep.
So he's knocking these titles down, and
Yeah.
he's showing the community that the Shorty Bull is
Here.
here,
Yeah.
like that we're here,
Absolutely.
and we ain't going nowhere, and we're going to
What's
continue to make it hard for you
Yeah,
guys,
that's
right?
exactly what. Yeah, I and again, like all of us have had our own little experiences, with these Shorty Bulls, and they are. I mean, I'm really, really excited about where they're going. I love the fact that all of the ones that I've seen, there's no denying who like what they are.
Yeah.
Because you and I, like, I know that, like, there's been
So
discussions about where it's
it
like
would be the
some
public.
dogs may or may
Yeah.
not be mistaken kind of for a similar breed.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no mistaking the Shorty Bull. Like,
No.
isn't
It's got
like,
its
No.
own breed type for sure.
It's definitely
yeah, oh, it's
got its
freaking
own breed type.
strong. Yeah, and it's yeah. So I don't look at them and think what is wrong, or like I nudge somebody and say, hey, what kind of
Yeah.
weird
Yeah.
bulldog
Yeah.
thing is that? Like, I don't have that problem, because you look at them and they're consistently, like, there's no mistaking
Yeah.
them, and I love that, because that's kind of some, like, where a lot of us with American Bully, it's like
It's
we're still having some issues with that in certain
yeah.
areas of certain classes, the inconsistency or the possibility they might get mistaken for another similar breed,
Or
so
for an
it's,
exotic or something like
yeah,
that. I mean, I guess I can see it from their perspective, what I mean, because they don't know about the breed, and they haven't seen a whole lot of Shorty Bulls. So I could see how they can mistake them for an
yeah,
exotic or a micro or whatever. But when they start working, like, you could definitely tell that's not no
right.
exotic.
Hey,
That's
you can't leave a
that.
shorty bull on the table and walk away. I can tell you that right now.
No, that ain't happening, brother. They gonna jump off.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they gonna jump off.
Where's the
So
chickens? Yeah, they're gonna leave.
exactly. So, but yeah, I just can't wait, to see where we take the Shorty Bulls, and how the American Bully continues to, go in this direction that I think is the right direction. You know,
I love it.
um,
Dude, I hope you get to every mountaintop you're running up, dog, because
we are trying,
yeah.
brother, and I'm gonna get that CPAP machine so it'll help me get
All
there.
right, dude.
I like
Listen.
it. If that's the only thing that comes out of this life, it's not. But if it were the only thing that would come out of this life tonight, uh, awesome. The best day ever. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can't
right.
wait to hear
get
that.
you
I can't
some
wait to
good
hear that you
sleep,
got it,
John.
man.
And I feel like I'm gonna be preaching just like you
You will,
once I
bro.
do
I
it.
promise.
Yeah.
But up until then, brother,
I
I'm
already
gonna
know
be
it.
petty and be like, no.
Yeah,
but
my wife's
I
like, well,
have to
how?
get it done.
She's asking.
I
She
got
said,
a little girl and that I gotta still stick around for.
that's
All
right,
my boys, they're all kind of already up there in age,
dude.
so
We
they,
got we.
I've already taught them how to take care of themselves, and you know what I mean. So they don't. It's not like they need me here to take care of
My
them.
wife and I
They
have
Don't give
6 kids, all the way
yourself excuses, sir.
from 27 to 13, and so
we have 9. Yeah. I didn't. You remember that 8 is Enough movie or TV series back in the
yeah.
day? I didn't think 8 was
No,
enough.
you didn't, did you?
Definitely
No,
not.
not 9.
Well, I thought
9 was
6 was a
enough.
lot, but 9 is a whole lot.
Yeah, so
Oh,
we have them from 32 to a year and a half.
hmm.
Yeah,
We
Hey,
got them.
at least you
We
spread
got
the
them
wealth,
from.
my God.
I've been
yeah.
saying 27 to 12, but our 12-year-old just turned 13, so
Oh
yeah.
well, but I have 7 boys and 2
Oh
girls.
yeah, yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah,
mercy. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That our last one is the only reason. Honestly, the reason why we did go for another one was because Kira doesn't have a girl of her. I mean that she birthed,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so that was like the whole thing was, and I'm like, well, I'm not doing this unless it's a sure thing. Like it had to be guaranteed because I'm not gonna have another boy.
Like, all I throw is boys. All I throw is boys.
It's a sure thing that I'm going to throw a boy. You have 3 boys. I have 4 boys. I
The
only miss
odds are
one
not in
time with
our
a girl.
favor.
You know what I mean? So, like, yeah. So we end up doing IVF. The
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's cool, man.
yeah, we did that, and you have to pay a little bit extra to like guarantee it a girl. They only put the female eggs
Yep.
inside
Yeah.
or
That's
sperm,
pretty
whatever.
surefire.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
So
crazy. But I
so
mean,
we
and
had to
that's
do that.
And that's the one that we
you
met
got
there
to
for
get.
just a second.
Yeah, yeah,
She's a beautiful
yeah.
little girl, man.
Part of me
Thank you, brother.
wants
Thank
to
you,
ask you: are the girls a little bit more emotionally exhausting than the boys?
dude. So when we started this journey, this was not all white.
Yeah, I already know. Hey, look,
This right here, this was not all white.
I
It
already
was
know
like a couple of strands that were white, and this little monster right here that's on the
it.
table.
Look at that baby.
Yeah, she created this. So yeah,
Oh goodness!
girls are harder,
Yes, they
like
are.
for sure
That's what I
harder.
just did when I muted for a second and went back there and was talking. I went back and told my daughter, I'm like, bro, it's 10:25. What are you doing? Like, she's like, oh, it's 10:25. I didn't even know.
I
I'm
didn't
like,
even know, Dad. You're
yeah,
like, okay, go to bed. But
yeah,
if it had been one of the boys, you'd have been like, hey, get your ass to
yeah,
sleep now. You might have smacked him in the back of the
yeah,
head too.
yeah.
I keep it real, man. I'm hard as hell on the boys.
It's different,
When it
man.
comes to her, I mean, she could
Rats.
literally like rip up a bunch of money, and I cannot be
Yeah,
mad at
just
her. You know what I
rats.
mean? Like
I try to
it's
get my
Your
bluff
kids
on
are
with my daughter, but at the end of the day, I'm just bluffing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
You work hard
Oh, I
for that,
get it,
girl.
man.
yeah, it's
This
tough.
is cool, man. I'm glad you guys had me on
I
I
enjoyed it,
know.
brother. It's nice to get to know you a little
Yeah.
bit.
for sure.
Yeah,
This
man.
is wonderful. I'm so yeah. No, I was already fangirling, before you came on. Just like all these like the things I wanted to hear from you as far as like the history and the Shorty Bulls and I like that. Man, you over delivered, sir. I
I
am
hope so.
ecstatic.
I hope I was able to, give like as much info that I could.
Oh yeah.
That and more.
And like, I mean, if there ever a time like you guys want to like talk, man, you can give me a call, through Messenger. I mean, I'll send you guys all my number if you guys needed, just needed to talk, talk dogs, man. Hit me up. I don't
Already.
mind. Yeah, I
Yeah, that'd be
don't
great.
mind. So
Don't tempt them.
Yeah,
Don't tell them
yeah,
what
Send
they
it.
look.
want.
Send it.
Yeah.
yeah, I literally don't mind
Yeah.
talking dogs. It does
Oh
not bother me. Like I said, like dogs saved my life, especially these dogs. So
Me too,
I don't
man.
mind like paying it
That's
forward,
right.
yeah.
Right.
you know,
If I
That's why
said me
we
and Caleb
yeah.
never talk dogs late at night, I'd be lying.
Man.
because then you
That's if
guys
you
won't go
stay
to sleep,
awake.
Right.
right? Or you might, but he won't.
He won't even remember it. I'll be like, what? I was talking to you for like 30 minutes. He's like, what?
Right. And then all of a sudden I heard you snore.
He's like, I'm just driving. I don't know. I
Yeah.
I don't remember
Next morning
talking to you.
we gotta re-talk about the whole conversation.
No, we'll
Right.
have to rehash it.
Me and John,
Exactly.
we might both be asleep. Like both of us looking at each other like, were you asleep or was I asleep?
Yeah, but John, this has been fun, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate
it's been
it.
great, man.
Awesome, man. I'm so excited and happy that we did this, and I'm glad that I was able to like at least answer some of the questions that people were asking. And I've said this on posts, and I've said this on other shows. Like, if there's a question that anyone needs, message me.
Yeah.
Message me, and I have no problems like talking dogs or just answering a question for
Yeah.
anyone, because in my position I've got to be an open book, right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I can't be like hiding stuff, and
Figure it out yourself.
yeah, like I'm actually supposed to be there for you guys, right?
Yeah.
So anyone can hit me up. I speak English and Pidgin and a little bit of Hood. So, but if
I can do all
you hit me
that.
up speaking French or Spanish, like I will have to Google Translate. It might take me a little bit to get back to you,
You might be typing it. You might be typing it.
Yeah. Well, they have Siri, so I could tell Siri what to do,
Mercy, bless you for that. Yeah,
Right.
no, again, like having you on here has been awesome. I was like super stoked when you responded, not just that you were willing to come on, but that you wanted to. So I was thinking,
Yeah. Yeah. I watched a few of your guys' shows, and I feel like what you guys are trying to do is just put like raw info out there. You're not trying to twist things up. You're not trying to like get more views out of it. You know what I mean? Like, you guys just want to put the truth out, and I mean that's what I see on your show. So
Yeah.
that's what I want to be a part of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of anything other than putting out positive.
Get up here and cut up and talk dogs and educate, and it's not about an agenda, just trying to bring the community together, man.
Exactly, and
I've
that's what
enjoyed
I
every
like
time I've
about
ever
it.
been on the
So
show. I love it, man. We have
I was like super stoked to even like be for you guys to even ask me to come on. I was like, hell yeah, I'm there. Just let me know when. And I was like, what do you mean you're booked up for January? You're like, I just won Euro Nationals. You got to put me on in January. You're like, we can get you in February 4th. I'm like, okay, I'll take it.
I'll take February. That's so funny, man.
It was so funny, Amanda. I was like, oh, they're asking me to be on, and I'm like, yes, yes, I'd love to. And then you were like, well, we're booked up for January. I was like, what? You're asking me to be on your show, and you're booked up for January? Like,
you know who I am?
You should have
yeah,
seen the
me and my wife,
conversation that we had
show.
about it on the other
Know
end.
me?
No,
Yeah.
that literally tickles me beyond imagination, because I mean, we love doing this, and so whenever we hear, like, 'cause again, like, our mission is to give people access to people like you. So like when they're getting started out, or I don't care, they're in varying degrees of experience, right?
Yeah.
We still want to make sure that they have the tools and the education and to be able to succeed, right? Because if you want anybody to fail, you suck.
Yeah.
So so it's like we like, so to find out that someone like you, who, I mean, you've been there since the beginning, you've got all these accolades. I mean, you're a senior judge, you just won Euro Nationals with your Shorty Bull. Like, you have so much going on, and for someone like you to want to come on the show, it's not just willing,
I
but
feel
want to.
like anyone in my similar position should be happy to be asked to be on your guys' show, because like I said, I just feel like it's you guys push into a positive light You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than negative. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of any kind of negative anything. So
Right. Same.
that's why I feel like someone like me would rather be asked to be on your show. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the good that it brings to the community. Like,
That's what's up.
I just recently have been able to be like on these shows and actually talk. Like, for the longest time, I was one of those guys that I don't want to talk to anyone. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what I'm going to say. I can't even talk that well. You know, that's just how I was for a very, very long time. It wasn't until recently that I was able to speak my mind and you know, like, just talk, period.
Well, we
So
make it easy, man. We all got a lot
well,
of
that's
questions. And
the other thing. You guys make the vibes, you know what I'm saying,
yeah, man.
really make it a lot easier to just be myself. And I
Oh,
think that's the most important,
I
you know what I
love it.
mean? Because if you have to, like, not, if you're like worried about being yourself, then you're probably gonna not tell, you know, like, the good stories that everyone wants to hear, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So and it's hard for people that are just getting into it, and they may be just a little scared to even, like, message me. But now
Yes.
that they like see, you know, the type of personality that I have,
That's
maybe
right.
they'll be, you know, it'll,
More
you know,
approachable.
yeah, they'll feel
Exactly.
more comfortable to
Exactly the
message me
reason
and
why
be
we do
like,
this.
you know,
Exactly.
hey, John,
right there.
you know, I have this dog, and I want to show the dog. What do you think? Or, you know what I mean?
Yes,
I want to get into the Shorty Bull, but I know nothing about them. But, you know, so,
absolutely.
you know, like, just being able to come on your guys' show, it probably opened a lot of doors for a lot of people as well.
That's why we do it.
You
That's
know,
why
so
we do
that's cool. Just you guys' platform is awesome, and I you know, I think that you guys are doing a great job, especially for the community, and especially with a lot of the negative stuff that happens in the community as well. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like you guys are doing a great job, and just keep doing it. I hope that you ask me to come on again,
it.
you know, in the
That's
future. That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
again, don't threaten me with a good time, sir.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
No, anytime, guys.
Believe it.
That would be great.
Love that. No, absolutely. I mean, we love talking dogs. We could do it for a million years. It's already, I know it's like 10:30 where we are. It's like 8:30 where you're at. You know, I don't want to keep you past a certain point because we could really
Yeah,
keep
for sure.
talking.
I'm sure at some point people are gonna be like, dude, this dude just said
Oh,
he can't talk.
yeah, Christopher
It's
James
like
already
talking
came
your
back on. He's
guys'
like,
ears
holy
off,
cow, you
right?
guys are
So,
still on.
Dude,
Christopher
no,
already hopped in here and been like, oh my God, you guys are still rolling.
I've had a great time with
yeah,
you
man.
guys. I can't
Yes.
wait to see you guys, you know, at a show
Oh,
soon.
yeah.
Yep.
And you
Looking
know, if you
forward
guys
to it.
ever need anything, need me, give me a holler. You
I'm gonna
know, I'm
cancel
here
the.
anytime.
I had sent a request to you. I don't know how long ago it was. I'm sure you get a bunch of them though. And I went to.
Reason.
I seen your name on the show, and I was like, "Do I have him on Facebook or not?" And I went to look, and it said it had like an option to cancel request. So what I'll do is just cancel it and resend it, so it'll go back up
Yeah,
to the top.
resend it.
John, answer his friend request. Answer his friend request.
I will, you know, and I go on there every so often, and
I
I'll
can't
look
keep
at,
up
you know,
with
like,
Facebook, so I get it, bro. Like I
I
can't even
thought
keep
I
up
was
with stuff
bad.
like that.
Sure, has like 1,000 friend requests, like more than
Oh,
1,000.
oh, dude,
I have like a couple hundred,
Really?
and she has more than
I
a
don't
thousand.
know how my wife keeps up with it. I can't keep up with it, man. Every time I get up in the morning and open my phone, it's like it's too much.
I still got to ask her to help me do, like, make posts and do things, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I was like, post one of our boats up, and I was like, well, where do I find this? I want to put it in like boats, you know. And oh, you have to go here, you have to go there. Can you do it for me,
Yeah.
please? You
Yeah.
know.
I'm the same way, man.
So,
Well, look, yeah, we'll
but
get
yeah,
caught up.
man. Anytime, guys. I had a great time.
Yep.
But I probably need to go and watch the baby at least for a little bit.
Yeah. Probably like,
So Kira can
sure.
have her me time too.
Yep.
But anytime you guys want to have me on, let me know.
Yep.
I would love to. Anytime you guys just want to talk, give me a
Yep.
holler.
Will do,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Hey, great getting
Absolutely.
to know you, man. We enjoyed it, John.
All right,
Yes, we
guys.
did.
Absolutely.
You
All
guys
right.
have a great rest of
Good
your
night,
evening.
Caleb. Good night, Amanda.
Get
All
some
right.
rest.
Thank
All
you.
right, guys.
Good night,
All right,
y'all.
get some
Yep.
good, that good
Bye.
sleep.
Yep.
Aloha.
Bye, you guys.